All right, guys, let's get down to business, okay? Let's go over who's missing what and when, okay? So, knowledge conversion quizzes. Here we go. If your name it's not up on the list, you're good to go. If your name is not on the list, you're good to go. Okay. Sintel, where you at? Arlie, talk to me.
Yes, chef.
You see your name up there?
Yes, sir.
What are you missing?
2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Knowledge check.
You got until Thursday. Get them done.
Yes, sir.
They will close. They are going to close. Miss Leilani Camacho, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, Chef.
See your name too?
Yes, for
Right.
5 and 6.
It only takes less than 5 minutes. Knock him out before Thursday, possibly today. Okay. Cameron, I thought I saw you here today. Mr. Contreras.
I just saw his name. He's never on, so he needs to be on.
Oh, you know, he's not on. He forfeits off his grade for the day. Cameron Contreras, if you can hear us, if you see your name on the board, you owe yourself 1 through 6. Not us, yourself. Okay? 1 through 6. Robert. We see Robert today, Sheffy?
No, I have not seen Robert. And when we had this talk on Friday, wasn't it Thursday or Friday that we had to talk about the conversion quizzes?
Yep.
Guys,
Yes,
and these,
about
and
that.
so, yeah,
Yes.
and some of these people
Yes.
heard from me and they didn't finish it. Some of them weren't there, so I understand that they didn't get my gist of what I said. But you guys have got to be on it. You've got to get whatever you can and make sure that you get the most out of this class. And that's one of the reasons right there, making sure you do it.
I
Then
did
it shows
all
me.
Chef Power. I did them all. That
I know you
says
did. Honey, your name's not up there. You see it?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
If your name is not up there, you don't have to worry about it. Okay? Your
Okay.
name is not up there,
Got it
it's clear. Okay?
Only the names that are up there.
If
That's who's
anybody-
gotta worry.
If anybody knows Robert, please reach out to him because he, you know, if he's a homeboy, home slice, dude, Vato ese, reach out to him and let him know he's missing 1 through 6. Same thing with
Okay.
Mr. Cameron. He seems to be logging in, but maybe he's in Cloud 9 or mowing his lawn. I have no clue where he's at.
Okay.
I saw you, Ashley, today, so
Ashley.
please.
Where's Ashley?
Here, Chef.
Okay, you see your name up there, right, Miss Ashley?
Yes, sir.
1 through 6. Knock him out before Thursday. Today, if possible, okay? If all
Today.
possible. Eladia,
Gotcha.
you're missing 2.
I just finished them, Chef.
I knew you would, okay? Ellie, Miss Thompson, where you be at? Okay. See
All right,
me up there?
it's showing on my phone that the week 1 is already done on my phone. Like it,
Right.
I've done it.
Right. You don't have, I don't have week 1 up here. I got 2 to 3, 6. 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So 2,
Ellie,
3, 4,
Ellie.
5, 6.
Yes, chef.
do you need my glasses, sweetheart?
No, I have mine, but
Okay, as long as you have them, that's all that matters to me.
So 2 to 6, knock him out before Thursday.
I got you. I'll do them right now.
Thank
Avon,
you.
Miss Avon. Okay.
Yeah, I see them. I got. I'll do them tonight or tomorrow night.
As soon as possible, okay? As soon as possible. Okay.
Thank you.
You have
We
until
appreciate that.
they close on Friday. I wouldn't wait till Friday. I would knock him out as soon as possible. Okay, get them all, guys. Get them all done. If you don't, they will drop your grade average tremendously. Okay. Also, I'm going to start sending out your overall grades in a few minutes here where you stand, so you guys can take a look at where you're sitting at. Okay. Remember, passing grade is 65. Passing grade is 65. Unfortunately, there's a few that are your passing grade is below 65. Okay. Unfortunately, there's a few that the passing grade is below 65. Okay. You got about a week to do any catch-up work. Week 6 is too late in the game. Okay. Got it?
Question.
Yes.
If we missed, I think I missed like 2 lectures. How big of a paragraph do you want of everything?
Right. So if you missed 2 Mondays, go back to whatever Mondays or weeks you missed. Take a look at. I know it's a long video. Take a look at the video and take a look at the slides, and then submit your notes through email in a couple of paragraphs. I'm not going to ask you to do a full essay, but submit your notes on those lectures. Okay. Your takeaways from the whole entire. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll go back, fix your attendance so you will not be absent, and I'll give you a grade for those days. That's how that works, guys, for all of you guys. If you miss a lecture day, go back to whatever lecture you missed, take a look at the video, watch the whole entire thing, its entirety, okay, because every Monday it's loaded up. Read the slides and submit your notes or your takeaways from that Monday's video lecture, okay? Then we'll go ahead and fix your attendance so you will not be counted absent, and also we'll update your grade. Okay, you have that option, but it's up to you. Again, this is week 5. Week 6 is too late in the game. Okay, got it? All right. Let's go to what's happening this week. Okay. We moved on from chicken. We did steak on whatchamacallit, Friday. Okay. This week we're looking into. Of course, if you have veal, awesome, go for it. But if not, substitute pork. Same style of cookery, same technique, okay? We're also gonna do lamb and pork as far as cooking-wise and the techniques, okay? So we're gonna be cooking those 3 items this week. Well, I couldn't find lamb. I didn't get a chance to go to Central Market or Huddle and HEB where you find veal. Here, couldn't find it here. Anyway.
Pflugerville.
Does we need a rack of lamb? Do we need an entire rack of lamb?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
You just
No, I only got half a rack because it said 0.5 each.
Then you can get that from. Half a rack will do fine, and I'll show you guys why the full side of rack is good for presentation. But I got half a rack too, so we're in the same boat.
Where'd you get it from?
HEB, and also HEB has it. I saw it, but I got mine from school. And I think H Mart, if I'm correct, no, I didn't see one of H Mart, but I saw one HEB here in Cedar Park in 1431. What is it? Ronald Reagan. That's a big one. The one I went to here in 1431 and 183 business, they didn't have worth nothing.
H Mart doesn't have it. I called yesterday. They don't have it.
They don't have it, Chef.
Yeah, I walked through yesterday. I thought I saw it. Maybe I didn't.
And the HEB right across from where I live, which I'm looking at it, I was there and they don't have it, Chef, either.
If you guys
Whole Foods.
if you guys download the HEB app, you can pinpoint to your nearest location and put the item in, and it tells you where it's at.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
I'll let my phone see where I can for next time. So lamb, pork, and veal. If you got veal, awesome. If you're not, let's do pork, all right? So again, we're going to talk a little bit about the muscle composition because the veal is almost same as the beef, but there's a difference in as far as age gap. Okay.
Are we using a specific type of pork instead of veal?
Pork loin.
Okay.
Pork loin.
I have that then.
Pork loin is fine. If you don't have pork loin, pork cutlet will work as well too. Okay.
So if we already have those 2 items that are already on the menu, do we need to go get more?
Yeah, because you got one instead of veal, you got to use the pork, and then you got another pork cutlet somewhere along the way. So you're gonna have to use pork twice.
Okay.
Unless you got 2 cutlets, one for one day, one for the other one. Don't do 2 in one day.
We got the bare minimum of what was on the list. Okay. Like we barely made the budget.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out how to go get more.
Okay. Unless it's big, and then cut it in half, use one day, one the other day.
It's the 6 ounces. Exactly 6 ounces.
Yikes.
Yeah, I don't have the money to go get more, so that's my issue now.
What else you have that can improvise? Anything in your fridge you can improvise instead of the pork?
I just have maybe chicken. Maybe.
Chicken, you can utilize the breast instead. If you have the breast?
I don't have, no, I don't have the breast.
Okay.
I'll have to go make a call then.
Okay. You can utilize the chicken breast. The leg and thigh meat is a little bit too tricky to debone and use. Pork, even beef will work as well too. It's a steak. If you have any steak, as long as you tenderize it properly instead of the veal. Okay.
Jeff Miguel.
Yes.
Before the end of class, you're going to go over the shopping list as to what we need.
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect. I won't interrupt anymore.
That's okay. We're going to go over the shopping list for the end of the class like we did last week, but I'm going to take a little more time on it and tell you guys what you need, what you don't need. Okay. So the carcass of the cattle, sheep, hogs, and fur game animals consists of mainly edible lean muscle tissue, fat, connective tissue bones. They're divided into large cuts called the primal cuts. Remember we saw the guy cut the primal cuts on the hook of the beef. Primal cuts are rarely cooked. Rather, they are usually reduced to subprimal cuts, which in turn can be cooked as is or used to produce fabricated cuts. Except for the steamship, the big old leg of the beef. Again, it's been roasted wholly to produce the steamship of beef. Okay. Anyways, for example, the beef primal known as short loin can be divided into subprimal, including the strip loin. That's where we get the New York strip steak or Kansas City strip steak. Strip loin can be fabricated into other cuts, including New York steaks. Muscle tissue gives meat the characteristic appearance. The amount of connective tissue determines the meat's tenderness. Muscle tissue is approximately 72% water, 20% protein. So it's a lot of water. 7% fat and 1% minerals. Meat shrinks during cooking as water evaporates and fats melt. That's when you do a roast, it tends to shrink. Okay, so there's different ways to do roast. Like when you do the beef or bouillon, when you cover it and let it braise. Okay. Anyways, proper cooking helps prevent excessive shrinkage, which can cause the loss of finished weight in regularly shaped meats after cooking. A single muscle is composed of many bundles of muscle cells or fibers held together by connective tissue. Thickness of the cells, the size of the cell bundle, and the connective tissues holding it together form the grain of the meat and determine the meat's texture. When the fiber bundles are small, the meat has a fine grain and texture. Grain also refers to the direction in which the muscle fibers travel. Just like when you have flank steak, remember we talk about flank steak, all the fibers travel one way, so you just cut it against the grain. Same thing with brisket. Okay. The grain also refers to the direction in which the muscle fibers travel. When the animal fattens, some of the water evaporates, and the lean muscle tissue are replaced with fat, which appears as marbling. Marbling adds tenderness and flavor to the meat, and is principal factor in determining meat quality, like Wagyu, Kobe. Okay, a lot of marbling and a lot of fat in it. Connective tissue forms the walls of the long muscle cells and binds into the bundles. It surrounds the muscle as membrane, and so it appears the tendons and ligaments are attached to the muscles to the bone. Most connective tissue consists of either collagen or elastin. So when you make your veal stock or beef stock, you're extracting the collagen or elastin from the bones. That's what gives it that once you reduce it and make demi-glace, gives it that feel to the palate, okay? Because the gelatin, that's where gelatin comes from, okay? Because it likes to remain stringy and tough, tendons and ligaments should be trimmed away before the meat is cooked. Connective tissue develops primarily in the frequently used muscles. Therefore, cuts of meat from the shoulder, known as the chuck, which the animal uses constantly, tend to be tougher than those from the back, also known as the loin. That's why tenderloin is so tender, okay? As the animal ages, collagen represents that muscle becomes more resistant to breaking down through a moist heat cooking. Therefore, the meat in an elderly animal tends to be tougher than the younger one. Generally, the tougher the meat, the more flavorful it is. However, the way the meat is fabricated also affects the tenderness. Cutting raw meat against the grain, pounding and thinning sliced raw meat, or grinding raw meat before cooking will tenderize cuts. Butchering techniques have evolved to maximize that usability of the primal cuts. Okay, with inspection and grading of meats. All meats produced for public consumption in the United States are subject to the United States Department of Agriculture inspection, or the USDA. Inspection ensures the products are pre-processed under strict sanitary guidelines and are wholesome fit for human consumption. Inspections do not include meat's quality or tenderness. However, whole carcass of beef, pork, and lamb and veal are labeled with the round stamp identifying for the slaughterhouse. That's when you buy a strip loin, a big strip loin, You see the round stamp with the purple on it. That's when the USDA inspects it. And that ink is edible, it's not poison. So you might not be able to get rid of it unless you cut it away. But again, the fat is flavored. Grading. USDA grading provides voluntarily uniform system by which producers, distributors, and consumers can measure differences in the quality meats and make price quality comparisons. There are two parts for this grading system: quality grades and yield grades. Quality grades established in 1927 are guide to the eating qualities of meat, its tenderness, juiciness, and flavor, based on the animal's age and meat and color, texture and grease, marbling, and the USDA quality grades are as follows. Okay. First, for beef, this is your grading: USDA Prime, Choice, Select, Standard, Commercial, Utility, Cutter, and Canner. Canner is the bottom of the barrel. USDA Prime, and there's another one, the sequel is called Hereford. USDA Prime Hereford, and above that you got the Kobe beef and the Wagyu. So Wagyu, and then Hereford, and then okay, Prime. If you guys go to a restaurant, they'll have the menu advertised prime steaks, okay, top of the line steaks. And again, choice, okay, select, or standard. That's like for beef stew, for ground beef, not for like New York strip steak, because those are like kind of like so they're from all their cattle, okay. Veal, you got the same thing: USDA Prime, Choice, Good, Standard, and Utility. A little bit different than beef, okay. Lamb, you got USDA Prime, Choice, Good, and Utility. Okay. Pork, USDA number 1, 2, 3, and the Utility. With USDA number 1, you also got above that the Corbuta, or what we call the Berkshire here in the States. Okay, Corbuta is like the Kobe beef of pork in Japan. So grading: the USDA Prime meats are produced in limited quantities for use to the finest restaurants, hotels, and gourmet markets. They're well marbled and have a thick covering of firm fat. USDA Choice meat is the most commonly used grade in quality food service operations and retail markets. Choice meat is well marbled, but much less fat than Prime, and will produce a tender and juicy product. Choice is good. Maybe a Denny's or IHOP might have Select or the lower grade than that. Also lacking the flavors, the tenderness of the highest grades. Beef grade, USDA Select or USDA Standard, and lamb or veal grade or USDA Good, also used in the good service operations and retail outlets. The term to roll refers to beef that has been graded, stamped, rolled by USDA inspector. Much of the beef sold in the United States, especially in retail, is no roll. But what happened if the USDA selected is graded? The lower grades of beef, lamb, and veal usually used for processed ground manufactured items such as meat, patties, or canned meat products. So when you buy canned, I don't know, Chef Boyardee or Campbell's beef and soup, that's what you get, the lower end cuts. Yield grades established in 1965 measure the amount of usable meat on a carcass and provide a uniform method of identifying cut ability differences among carcasses. Yield grades apply only to beef and lamb and appear to be shielded similar to the use of the quality grade stamp. The shields are numbered from 1 to 5, the number 1 representing the greatest yield, and under the 5, the smallest. Okay, so number 1, the greatest yield, 5 is the less yield. Grading is voluntary program. Many processors, purveyors, and retailers develop and use their own labeling system to indicate quality. This private systems do not necessarily apply to USDA standards. In fact, some pork inspection programs apply more strict quality standards. But let's talk about aging meats. Okay, when animals are slaughtered, their muscles are soft and flabby. Okay, within 6 to 24 hours, rigor mortis sets in. You get all stiff, right? Causing the muscles to contract and stiffen. Rigor mortis dissipates within 48 to 72 hours under refrigerated conditions. All meats should be allowed to rest or age long enough for rigor mortis to dissipate completely. Meats that have not been aged long enough for rigor mortis to dissipate, or that have been frozen during this period, known as green meats, they will be very tough and flavorless when cooked. Okay, so you have to let the meat dry, age. Okay, it's a lot easier to fabricate the meat when it's nice and still warm, and that rigor mortis have been set in, but it's not going to have as much flavor. Typically, initial aging takes place while the meat is being transported from the slaughterhouse, because you got to be in the refrigerator. So that's when rigor mortis takes place. To the supplier or food service operation, as meat continues, natural enzymes begin to break down the muscle into the more tender meat. Beef and lamb are sometimes aged for longer periods to increase their tenderness and flavor characteristics. Pork is not aged further because of high fat content turns rancid easily, and veal does not have enough fat to protect fat from during the extended aging period. So pork cannot be, because otherwise, again, like all that lard tastes rancid. So different aging techniques. Wet aging. Today, most proportionate or pre-cut meats are packaged and shipped vacuum sealed plastic packages. You see those at the store, little cryovac steaks. Wet aging is a process of storing vacuum packages meats under refrigeration for up to 6 weeks. This allows natural enzymes and microorganisms time to break down connective tissues, which tenderizes and flavors the meat. As this chemical process takes place, the meat develops an unpleasant odor and is released when the package is opened. So sometimes when you open the package, it smells funky. That funky monkey, junkie, brass monkey, right? As the chemical process takes place, the meat develops an unpleasant odor, again, when the package is removed. Exercise great care when aging meat. Beef can be wet aged for the longest period. Other meats must be consumed with a shorter time period. The shelf life for vacuum sealed refrigerated pork is approximately 3 weeks. You can also wet age steaks in butter. Melt butter, just like you're going to clarify it, just melt it. No requirement needed. Place the meat in the totally submerged in butter. Let it cool down in your refrigerator. The butter encases the heat, and then you can store it for longer times. Okay, but you got to make sure that you at least scrapes the top, because it's going to get a little moldy, or maybe freeze it. Okay, but again, you can age the beef in butter. Okay, dry aging. Dry aging is the process of storing fresh meats in an environment-controlled temperature, humidity, and airflow for up to 6 weeks. This allows enzymes and microorganisms to break down connective tissue. Dry aging is actually the beginning of the natural decomposition process. Yes, it's still decomposing. Dry aged meats can lose from 5 to 20% of the weight through moisture evaporation. They extract the moisture. Okay. They can also develop mold, which adds flavor but must be trimmed off later. Just like when you age cheese, especially the Roquefort cheese and the Roquefort Mountains. Okay, you gotta scrape out the maggots before you can eat the cheese. Moisture loss combined with additional trimming can be substantially increased at the cost of dry aged meats. Dry aged meats are prized for their rich beef flavor. However, they're generally available only through distributors and specialty butchers. You have to have a controlled room to dry age those meats. Okay, and it's gonna be approved by the local health departments. Okay, because not everybody can dry age it properly. I had a sous chef once that tried to dry some aged beef in the cooler in the beef cage. But it was a no-go because there were so many other components. First of all, food traffic in and out, and then the cage itself was all metal that was kind of a little bit rusty, so it was not appropriate to dry age the beef in that cage. Okay. So purchasing and storing meats. Several factors determine the cuts of the meat for your food service operations you use. First, menu. The menu identifies the type of cooking methods used: grill, sauteed, pan-seared, roasted, flambéed. If the meats have to be broiled, grilled, roasted, sauteed, or fried, more tender cuts should be used. If they are to be stewed or braised, flavorful cuts with more connective tissue can be used, like top roast, inside round, outside round. Menu price. Cost constraints may prevent an operation from using the best quality meat as available. Generally, the more tender the meat, the more expensive it is, but the most expensive cuts are not always the best choice for a particular cooking method. For example, beef tenderloin is one of the most expensive cuts of beef. It's about 17, 18 bucks a pound. Although an excellent grill will not necessarily produce a better braised dish than a tougher, fatter brisket. Can't, because it does have no fat. It's real tender. Quality. Often the several cuts of grades of meat can be used for a specific dish. So each food service operation should develop its own quality specifications. Like I said, you can have certified Angus steak on the menu, but you got to have certified Angus steak being bought. Okay. And also too, in this operation, you got to keep those high-dollar items locked with the locking key, because anybody can be, going home with a saran wrap steak in their underpants, on their knife kit, on their backpack. So you got to keep it, Okay, remember at restaurant ops, pilferage, theft, right? You got to keep those locked up. Got to keep a tight inventory. Know what came in, how many you fabricated, and collect the tickets from the printing machine. Okay, and then take an inventory at the beginning of the ship. I got 18 steaks at the beginning. Okay, and at the end, I got 10 steaks left. So you match the tickets to whatever the inventory variance is, and that's how you keep control of it, and also keep it locked up, because otherwise, like I said, the dishwasher might like a nice New York strip steak, so the cook, right? Give me saran wrap in their pants, right? In their toolkits, right? In the backpack.
Excuse me, chef. Even in the garbage, chef. Even in the garbage, you can double the bag. I worked somewhere where they did that.
Yep. You gotta be careful, guys. You gotta protect your assets.
Yeah.
CYA, protect your assets. Okay.
Yeah, you lose a lot.
A lot of money. That's expensive stuff too. Purchasing needs. Once you've identified the cuts of meat the operation needs, you must determine the forms in which they will be bought. Meats are purchased in their variety of forms. As a large or an entire carcass that must be further fabricated, or as small as an individual cut ready to cook and serve. You should consider the following when deciding how to purchase meats. 1, employee skill. Do your employees have the skill necessary to reduce large pieces of meat to the desired cuts? If you have a restaurant that has grilled a lot of steaks on the menu, is your grill cook skilled and trained enough to cut that strip loin into 12-ounce portions and get maximized product out of that? Or can they clean a tenderloin and then cut, beef tenderloins out of that beef tenderloin? Okay. If
I have a question.
Yes.
How much veal do we need to get exactly?
Only 6 ounces. That's it.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you, chef.
So you need to have somebody skilled to cut those beefs, because if you don't have anybody skilled, they are going to slaughter that beautiful, expensive cut of meat, and you're going to end up with maybe about 10% usable product. And I've seen this happen when somebody's training another one, or they don't get properly trained. They'll take a nice beef tenderloin and they try to trim it as perfectly as they can, and end up with this little skinny piece of, I don't know what it was. Okay. Menu. Can you use the variety of bones, meat, and trimmings that result from fabricating large cuts into individual portions? Like with chicken, right? You're going to buy a whole chicken. It's, I don't know, it's really inexpensive. You're going to have somebody fabricating your establishment to use a French cabressa chicken. Save those bones, make stock out of it. When I was working at the Hilton Towers in New York City, it was a 2,400 room hotel, and we would have banquet events with roasted chicken going out. So once it were fabricated, I would go out to the banquet kitchen, collect all the carcasses from the bones that were the chickens that were roasted, and brought down to my station, because I was working the saucier station, and I make stock with those roasted leftover chicken carcasses. The stock that came out of those chickens, oh man, it was nice and a little bit dark. It was perfect for a French onion soup. Okay, perfect for certain things. It was beautiful, beautiful roasted chicken stock. Okay. Storage. Do you have ample refrigeration in the freezer space so you can be flexible in the way that you purchase your meats? Okay. Again, you're going to purchase those high-dollar items. You got to have them in the case. You got to have a specific location to put those items. Otherwise, they're going to, it's a lot of food traffic. People are going to come in. Like I said, they're going to go out in their backpacks or toolkits. Okay. Costs. Considering labor costs and trim usage, it is more economical to buy larger cuts or meats or PC units. I was working at a place one time where the GM was adamant about me buying pre-cut cryovac steaks. I knew how to cut steaks because I've been doing it for such a long time, and my cooks knew because I had trained him. So I wasn't rebelling against my GM. What I did was I made a cost comparison. I went ahead and bought what he was asking me to buy. So I made the cost. So hey, this costs $27 a pound, and this is how much you get. And then also the variance, this costs X amount of money, and this is what you get. And this is the yield that you're going to get. And I said, but on the yield that you get, you can turn it into a taco meat, meatloaf, meatballs, stock. You can make money off of that. So the cost was a lot better buying the whole meats versus the pre-cut ones. But again, having the skills is going to help you in that aspect. If you don't, like possibly, I'm not talking about bad about Denny's, but some of those little chain restaurants, Chili's, TGIF, Fridays, they probably don't have the skill set to have the cooks cut those steaks. So they are going to order them pre-cut cryovac. Okay. Veal. Let's talk about veal. Delicious, scrumptious. I love veal. I love veal. I ate it raw.
You know, that's Czech's one of the favorite things in Czech Republic is veal.
All of Europe, you know.
All of Europe, veal cutlets. Yeah.
So is the texture any different from like everything else? I've never had veal, so.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna find a big difference in the.
So do you cook it medium rare or like?
Rare.
Rare.
Just like that. It cooks.
I'm good for the rare. Like you saw my steak. I overcooked my steak when I did it the other day.
Beautifully rare. That's what it takes because veal cooks really, really fast. Oh man, it's so delicious.
That's good to know.
And the flavor is way different. You don't taste the Mayo Globin from the steak.
Do you cook it at a high heat, shorter time, or low heat, longer time?
High heat, shorter time.
Okay.
My grandparents butcher their own veal.
I'm gonna have to pull out the cast iron for this week, aren't I?
Yeah, nice. So veal. Let's talk about veal. Okay. I know it sounds cruel, but man, it's so delicious.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying that's the only thing that bothers me is when I see the little young ones. It bothers the crap out of me. But
we're eating lamb.
Same thing.
We're cooking lamb. It's the same thing. It's already cut.
Yeah, it's already dead. Veal, the meat of young, usually make cows that are byproducts of the dairy industry. Dairy cows that aren't used in the dairy herds are used today in veal industry. Okay, also veal may come from any cow under the age of 9 months. Most come from cows slaughtered when they are 8 to 16 weeks old. 8 to 16 weeks old. Okay, they try to slaughter them before they start rumping around in the grass fields before they can build muscle. The veal is lighter in color than beef, has more delicate flavor, and is generally more tender. Young veal has a firm texture, light pink color, and very, very little fat. As soon as the calf starts eating solid food, the iron in the food begins to turn the young animal's meat red. From the meat from the cow slaughter when they are older than 5 months is called calf. It tends to be a deeper red, but some marbling and external fat. Veal's mild flavor and low fat content makes it popular meat, especially among those looking for an alternative to beef. Its delicate flavor is complemented by both classic and modern sauces. Okay, it's a young animal. They slaughter before they start walking around and running around, so it doesn't build that muscle. Yep. Okay.
Well, it's gonna get killed anyway. So what is the difference if it gets killed as a young one or an old one? You know?
Right. After slaughter, the cow carcass can be split down, just like the beef. The backbone into the bilateral halves, or more typically, cut along the natural curvature between the 11th and the 12 ribs into a foresaddle, the front portion, and hind saddle, the rear portion. The veal carcass yields 5 primal cuts. 3 from the foresaddle, the shoulder, the foreshank, the breast, and the rib. Remember, it's a small animal to the beef. Okay. And 2 from the hind saddle, the loin and the leg. The veal shoulder, rib, and the loin primal contains both bilateral portions. That is, a veal loin contains both sides of the animal's loin. Foresaddle, the shoulder, similar to the beef or shoulder chuck, the veal shoulder accounts for 21% of the carcass weight. It contains 4 rib bones as opposed to 5 from the beef chuck because it has been fully developed, it has not fully grown. And portions of the backbone, blade, and arm bones. The backbone, blade, and arm bones are sometimes removed and the meat roasted or stuffed and then roasted. Although shoulder chops and steaks can be fabricated, they are inferior to the chops cut from the more tender areas such as the loin or rib. Often the shoulder meat is ground or queued for stew because the relatively large amount of connective tissue contains. Meat from the shoulder is best braised or stewed. Okay. Foreshank and breast. Foreshank and breast are located beneath the shoulder and the rib sections on the front half of the carcass. They're considered one primal cut. Combined, they account for approximately 60% of the carcass weight. This primal contains rib bones and rib cartilage, breast bones and shank bones, because the cow slaughtered young, many of the breast bones are cartilages rather than bony. That's why it's great to use for veal stock. That's where you get demi-glace from. Cartilage, as well as sample of fat, is connective tissue, also presents in the breast, breaks down during the long, moist cooking, thus making the flavored breast a good choice for braising. The veal breast can also be cured for a stew, such as veal fricassee, delicious, veal blankets, rolled and stuffed, or trimmed or ground. The foreshank is also very flavorful but tough. It can be braised whole or sliced perpendicular to the shank bone and braised to produce osso buco. Delicious osso buco. The rib, the double rib, also known as the veal hotel rack, is a very tender, relatively small cut, accounting for about approximately 9% of the carcass weight. It is very popular and very expensive. The double rack consists of 2 racks, each with seven rib bones and a portion of the backbone. Veal racks can be roasted either whole or split into 2 halves. Veal racks can be bone out. Each side produces a veal ribeye and a small piece of tenderloin, known as a short tenderloin, both of which contain, which make excellent roast. More often, veal racks are trimmed, then cut into chops, which can also be bone in or boneless to be grilled, sauteed, or braised. Any which way is delicious. The hind saddle, loin. The veal loin is posterior to the primal cut. Contains 2 ribs, 12 and 13, and accounts for approximately 10% of the carcass weight. The loin consists of a loin eye muscle on top of the rib bone and the tenderloin under the arm, under them. The veal loin eye is very tender, and the tenderloin is without a doubt the most tender cut of the veal. If the primal veal is separated from the primal leg before the tenderloin is removed, the tenderloin will be cut into 2 pieces. Small portion, the short tenderloin, remains the primal loin, and the large portion, but tenderloin, remains the sirloin portion of the primal leg. Tenderloin is sometimes removed and cut into medallions, real small medallions. Veal loin is something cut into 2 chops, bone or boneless, bone in and boneless. Usually cooked using dry methods such as broiling, grilling, roasting, or sauteing. The leg, primal veal leg consists of both the sirloin and the leg. Together, they account for approximately 42% of the carcass weight. Primal leg is separated from the loin by a cut perpendicular to the backbone, immediately anterior to the hip bone, and it contains portions of the backbone, tail, hip bone, 8 bone, and the ram bone, and hind shank. Also, it is standard enough to be roasted, while the veal leg is typically fabricated in cutlets and scallops for scallopini and schnitzel. Veal schnitzel. Oh man, oh man.
I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you, German food, that stuff is so good.
And you're gonna be cooking some spatzel too coming up.
Are we making the gravy with that, or are we just doing the normal?
You can make gravy. So here the veal organ meats. Several calf organs meats are used for food service operation. Sweetbreads is what you see in the picture on the left-hand side. I love me some sweetbreads. Oh man, I was 17 years old working in a French continental restaurant eating escargots and sweetbreads. Oh man, I was like,
I love bread.
Not bread. This isn't bread. This is not pan dulce. This is not bread. This is
right. The veal, yeah.
Sweetbreads are the thymus gland of the veal lamb. Thymus gland, right here. Okay. As an animal ages, its thymus gland shrinks. Therefore, sweetbreads are not available from older cattle or sheep. Veal sweetbreads are much more popular than lamb sweetbreads in this country. Good quality sweetbreads should be the plump and firm, with exterior membrane intact. Delicate flavors and tender, they usually blanch before being sauteed or pan fried, although sweetbreads can be prepared by almost any cooking method. So left picture here is this veal sweetbreads in this raw stages. It's got the thin membrane that holds them together. You take those and poach them in water, take them out, cool them, and then peel the membrane off, okay, before you can start cooking them. Middle picture, which I love, morel mushrooms are a perfect marriage companionship to veal sweetbreads. Morel mushrooms. We used to serve them with a cognac morel mushroom demi-glace with the veal. So creamy, so buttery, so velvety. They were delicious. So veal sweetbreads and morel mushrooms, perfect match. Okay. Or you can just pan sear like you see in the right-hand side picture, just like you do the one steak, nice and crusty, but leave the other side like that. And maybe put a split pea puree with a couple of walnuts, okay? If you have had sweetbreads, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not had sweetbreads, if you come across one of them, try them out. Oh man, oh man. Anybody had sweetbreads before? How were they, Ms. Janet?
It's weird because I didn't think I would like them. Because it's like, some people just don't. but they're nice. Like the flavor and everything. I had them when I was like probably 15, so I don't really remember like flavors exactly, but I remember thinking I wouldn't like it. They wouldn't tell me what it was until I ate it.
They, to me, the veal sweetbreads kind of resemble the brains of the cow, because you know, in Mexico they use brain tacos, and that's kind of the texture that the veal sweetbreads have. So if you ever looking for tacos de seso, which means brain tacos, if you ever had them, they kind of resemble the same texture as veal sweetbreads.
What's the texture of it when it's cooked, Chef?
When it's cooked, it's a little bit chewy, a little bit resistant, but it's really smooth and velvety to the texture. The flavor, it's not strong. It's even less, a lot milder than beef or steak. It's really, really mild. Really mild.
Is it like tongue?
No, tongue is a little bit more chewier, and it's a little, the texture is a little bit sticky. So it's like, and the tongue has a different flavor. It's kind of like, it's got its unique flavor, but this one is not. It's a little bit different. It's like less flavorful, flavorful than tongue. So veal sweetbread, guys, if you get a chance, try them out. Okay, and if you like if you like him, you'll like him forever. Okay. Cow's liver. Cow's liver is much more popular than beef liver because of its tenderness and mild flavor. Good quality cow's liver should be firm and moist with a shiny appearance without any odor. It's almost often sliced and sauteed or broiled and served with a sauce. Kidneys, the most popular in other parts of the world in the United States. Good quality kidneys should be plump, firm, and encased in the shiny membranes. Properly prepared kidneys have a rich flavor and firm texture. They're best prepared by moist heat cooking methods and are sometimes used in stew or kidney pie. The hard, flavorful fat, the suet that collects in the veal kidneys can be used in forcemeats for barding and when rendered and deep frying. Nutrition, beef, like beef, veal is a major source of protein as well as niacin, zinc, and B vitamins. Veal has less marbling than beef. When trimmed of any visible fat, veal is lower in fat and calories than a comparable beef cuts, and it's leaner than many cuts of pork and poultry. Leaner. Okay. Here's some top veal dishes. The top left picture is the veal sweetbreads with morel mushrooms, a couple of peas, some bâtonnet carrots, chiffonade basil. Delicious morel mushrooms with veal. The bottom one below that is veal marsala, a classic Italian dish with mushrooms and bacon. Oh man, veal marsala. The middle top is the schnitzel, okay, or veal milanese, only accompanied with a couple of thin slices of lemon, maybe some parsley. The bottom one, in the middle with the white plate, it's veal saltimbocca. Saltimbocca translated to English means jump in the mouth. It has a nice, it's veal top round. Yes, Mr. Hunter? It's been tenderized. It's been tenderized, a nice piece of sage on it, and then a nice thin piece of prosciutto. Okay, the prosciutto adheres to the veal because it has nice moisture, and then the sage is encased inside. You take that and you lightly batter it. Dredge it in flour, and then clap the excess flour off, and you pan sear for 1 to 2 minutes on each side, and you take it out and it's done. That's how fast veal cooks. Veal saltimbocca with a little lemon white wine caper sauce. The two on the right, right now on the right side is the veal ossobuco. It is from the shank of the veal. A lot of great meat. It's braised meat. And the inside, when you have the bone marrow, the top picture, the little one you can see here, they have a specialty fork to be able to scoop out the veal, the marrow, and eat it. It's a delicacy. The one on the right-hand side is veal piccata. Okay, another Italian dish, veal piccata, with that is lightly floured and then seared off, and that's it. And in the same pan, deglaze it with white wine, add lemon juice, some capers, reduce it, add some whole butter, fold it in, and top that on the veal. Oh, it's delicious. OMG. Another similar to the veal piccata is what we call veal française. Same sauce, but the veal is lightly dredged in flour and egg wash like French toast, and the sear on the flat top like a French toast. And take it out, and then the sauce goes on top. Only difference between veal française and veal piccata, the française has an egg coating like French toast. Veal piccata does not. Okay. Those are some of the traditional veal dishes from the veal cutlets, and every single one of them, it's to die for, guys. It's delicious. I had them all, and then some. Okay. A little bit about the Brassica family. I know it's in the portal, and you guys probably wondering what Brassica family vegetables are. Okay. Commonly known as the mustard family. Okay. Brassica contains about 338 genera and more than 3,700 species of flowering plants distributed throughout the world. Brassicaceae species are characterized for 4-petal cross-shaped flowers that feature 2 long and 2 short stamens to produce pod-like fruits such as known as silicates. So the Brassica family, it's the cabbage. So the Brassica plant here, you can have the cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, kale, broccoli, cauliflower. Okay. That's the Brassica family of vegetables. Okay. Just in case you guys were wondering, what is Brassica about? I know it's in the portal. It's one of the touch bases on it and tell you guys that even the cabbage, Napa cabbage, Savoy cabbage, purple cabbage, regular cabbage, bok choy, baby bok choy, all those come from the same Brassica family of vegetables. Okay. So Tuesday's menu. Okay. You got veal escalopes milanese. Okay. Very simple and easy to make. If you do not have veal, use pork. Okay. I wasn't able to get veal, so I'm using pork. If I have time, I don't know if I have time to now go to the supermarket or not. Anyways, if you don't have veal, pork loin will do. Or if you got a pork cutlet, get it, saran wrap on the bottom of your countertop, put the pork on top of the saran wrap, another layer of saran wrap, tenderize it, not kill it. You're not going to make the tortilla out of it. Like tenderize it like a chicken fried steak, right?
Yeah, they had to, for one of the recipes on the pork, I think the pork cutlet or something, they had to throw it through the tenderizer twice for the spätzle.
Yeah.
they were like, we don't have that, but I know how to do this for you. And I was like, whatever works.
So just tenderize it. Don't kill it. It's already dead. Okay. So tenderize it, dredge it in seasoned flour, only salt, a little bit of pepper maybe, seasoned flour, egg wash, and breadcrumbs. Okay. But do not use Japanese breadcrumbs. Use the regular coarse breadcrumbs. Okay. I don't have any regular breadcrumbs, so I'm gonna have to use Japanese breadcrumbs. Okay, and then it's pan seared to golden brown, and that's it. It's gonna be done real quickly. Even if it's pork, because it's so thin, you tenderize already, and the high heat short time is gonna cook it all the way through. Okay. Spätzle. Have you guys ever made spätzle before?
No.
Okay. It's not a German pasta. You have?
Yes.
Okay.
I love German food. Let's go. I'm excited.
Do you have a spätzle maker?
No.
Okay.
I've all done everything by hand.
By hand, really?
Yeah. My ex's mom taught me some stuff with German food.
Wow.
So, because she's a culinary chef as well.
You gotta share your techniques on how to do it by hand, okay?
I will try if I can remember how she taught me to do everything, because it's been a while.
Because I've never seen it done by hand.
You're talking about the whole battering it and then making the egg noodles or the potato noodles and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, we put it through the mill and it made the noodles come out.
Okay.
But I don't have a mill.
Okay.
So we'll see how to do it. If I can
spätzle.
attempt the noodles.
So the veal of the pork veal is really easy to make. Seasoned flour, egg wash, and breadcrumbs. Golden brown, set it aside. Done. Maybe you want to do that last minute, okay? You got spatzel, okay? We're gonna go with the recipe here. Let's take a look at the recipe spatzel. Where is it? Right, come on. Okay. Let me go back and see if I can pull the recipe for the spatzel, because you're not gonna make the whole full recipe. Unless you really love spatzel, then you can knock yourself out with a spatzel. Where is it? Here we go, okay? Here's the recipe for spatzel, okay? It's on your portal, okay? It calls for 12 eggs, 1 quart of water, 3 pounds of flour, AP, 2 tablespoons of salt, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, 8 ounces of whole butter, salt and pepper. That is, I can tell that is way too much, way too much, okay? So,
excuse me, Chef Miguel, for one person, because it's just me. I'm like you, it's just me.
so yeah, that's what I'm gonna get to next, okay? So I am going to quarter that recipe. I am not gonna use 12 eggs. Okay?
Only 4.
Okay, I'm gonna quarter that recipe, probably even less than that. Probably just 2 eggs, because it's just me, okay?
Okay.
And I'm only gonna use water enough to make that dough, okay? That dough consistency should look like a thick pancake or waffle batter, okay?
Okay.
And I'm not going to use 3 pounds of flour either. I'm going to use way less than that. I'm going to use maybe like a pound or less than a pound of flour. So
It comes out really weird too.
Yeah.
Like going through the colander, it's such a weird look.
It is such a weird look. I'm going to use a pinch of nutmeg because I hate nutmeg, but this recipe works really well. And the butter is to saute the spatzel. So once you make the spatzel, you make the batter, okay? Make sure that
Oh, so we're not boiling it?
Yes, you're gonna boil it.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, so
okay.
you make the, hold on. Well, I know you're excited. But the way, Sally,
this is my favorite.
Since it's your favorite, do you know what spatzel means translated to English? The word spatzel.
I was taught at one point at the German restaurant we went to when I first tried it, but I know it's along the thing about like potato noodle. I think. Might be wrong about that, but we went to a lot of German restaurants. A lot.
So the word spätzle, however you want to pronounce it, translated to English means little sparrow, because that's the shape of the spatzel. It looks like a little sparrow. So you're gonna make the batter. It's gonna be thicker than pancake and almost like a waffle batter. Okay, you're gonna grab boiling water with salt. Okay, and you're gonna have to have a little colander with holes in it, or not a flat cheese grater with the bigger holes upside down. Okay, so the grating part is facing the water. The grating part is not facing up. Okay, and how you know that the batter is thick enough? You pour it through that container with a colander or cheese grater, and if it comes through with the holes by itself, it's not thick enough. Okay, when you actually push it and it comes through, that's the right consistency you need it for. Okay, and as soon as it floats, it's done. You dish it out, take it out, and shock it in nice water. Shock it in nice water. Drain the ice, drain the water, strain it, pat it dry. Okay, you're going to make some brown butter. You're gonna clarify butter, make it a little bit brown. And you're gonna saute that patted dry spatzel in the brown butter. It has to have that nice golden crust color on the spatzel, okay? Pinch of salt, that is it. Remember sucre from the risotto? Sucre means sugar. It means caramelizing the risotto at the bottom of the pan. That's kind of what we're looking for the spatzel, the nice golden crust and kind of crunchiness of the spatzel. That's what makes spatzel, okay? Don't just boil it, shock it, and toss it in some butter. Here you go, spatzel. No, it's got to have the golden brown color and the crust, the spatzel. Okay. Those of you guys who have not made spatzel before, let's take a look at spatzel making technique from one of my favorites presenter here, Mr. John from Food Wishes. Come on. Okay, here we go.
Spätzle, or as the Americans prefer to pronounce it, spatzel. That's right, I'm going to show you how to make the world's smallest dumplings. And while technically that's what they are, I prefer to think of these as the world's easiest free-form pasta, since the taste and texture are very similar, and they will pretty much work with any of your favorite pasta preparations. Plus, above and beyond all that, this stuff is way faster and easier to make than pasta, as you're about to see. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our spätzle batter, which is made with some all-purpose flour, to which we will add 1 large egg. Of course, we'll also need some salt, which we always do, as well as a little pinch of cayenne, which I'm assuming is rarely added in Germany. But hey, they're lost. And then we'll go ahead and finish this up with a spoon of creme fraiche, or sour cream, or yogurt. And then last but not least, a nice splash of whole milk. And believe it or not, that's it. And once all that's together, we will take a whisk and mix this smooth, and then evaluate for consistency. Okay, because what we're looking for is a batter that sort of drips slowly off the whisk, and not really run off the whisk. Okay, we don't want this too liquidy. So we will give it a mix and check it out. And you see how that's kind of pouring off quickly? Okay, so I think this is a little too thin. And to adjust that, we will simply add a little bit of flour. And conversely, if it's too thick, you'll add a little bit of milk. But anyway, we're going to stir in some more flour and check it out again. And now, as you can hopefully see, it's still dripping off the whisk, but much slower. Okay, so for me, that's looking very good. And then once we've adjusted the texture until we think it's just right, let's go ahead and clean off that whisk with a spatula. And I'll go ahead and give you one more look at the viscosity we're shooting for. Okay, so forget the exact measurements. You're going to have to adjust until you have something that looks like this. And then once the batter's set, we're going to need some kind of spätzle making tool with which to push our batter through into our boiling water. And while you could buy something specifically designed for this, you don't need to, because you probably already have one of these. Your standard cheese grater works perfectly for this operation. As long as the holes are at least this big, it's going to work great. And by the way, we're not going to use the side that grates the cheese. We're going to use the other side, also known as the smooth side. And how this works is we simply take some of our batter and transfer that onto our grater. Then we'll use our spatula to push it through, which again is why we want to make sure we're using the smooth side. Okay, nobody wants grated rubber in your spatula. And that is it. A pretty simple technique. Except, of course, we're not going to do it back into the bowl. We're going to do that into some boiling salted water. But before we do that, let's do this. We want to first prep whatever sauce or substance our finished spätzle are going to go into. And my personal favorite, and very classic choice, would be some toasted butter. So what we'll do is melt some butter over medium heat and simply cook it, swirling occasionally, until that toasts to a nice golden brown. And yes, if you want to go darker, feel free. Or if you don't want it toasted and just want to melt the butter, that also works great. Okay, so how you finish this is going to be up to you. You are, after all, the Hansel and Gretel of your spätzle. But anyway, you can see how far I toasted mine. And once that's set, assuming we've brought some salted water to a boil, we are ready to extrude our batter. So what we'll do is place our batter on top of our grater, a couple spoonfuls at a time. Oh, by the way, one way you can tell your texture was perfect, the batter won't drip through until you push it with a spatula. Okay, there's a very old German saying that I just made up. If it drips before you push, add some flour so you don't have mush. So not to brag, but this was looking just about perfect. And as you may notice, that's all sort of clumping together in one spot. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is I'm just looking at the viewfinder and not paying attention, because I should be moving that grater around more as I'm dropping it in. But also I could have this boiling more furiously, but I didn't because it was fogging the lens. Having said that, it's not a problem, because when we take the strainer and give it a stir, those will all separate beautifully. Which reminds me, these are considered done when they float to the top, which, as you saw, happens very quickly. So this really is a super fast recipe. And then once those are floating, what we'll do is take a strainer and simply transfer those into our melted butter, or whatever sauce you happen to be using. And we'll repeat that very easy process until our batter's gone. And by the way, this was a very small batch I did, just using 1 egg. It's only enough for like 2 portions. But the good news is you can scale this up as much as you want. And if you are going to make larger quantities, you can totally do this step ahead, and then just reheat these in the sauce when you're ready to serve. So something to keep in mind. But anyway, we'll continue on until our batter's been used up, and all our spätzle has been transferred to our pan, at which point we have a few options. Since everything's hot, we can just toss this and serve it. But personally, I like to put the heat back on medium and give these a little bit of a saute for a minute or 2. Okay, I don't really brown them, although some people do. And that is a very nice way to go. But I'm just going to cook these in that hot butter for about a minute or so, just to give them a little bit of time to absorb that beautiful nutty flavor. And of course, as always, we definitely want to give it a taste to see if it needs a little pinch of salt, which mine did. So I tossed them in and gave it one last stir, as well as one last taste. And once we're happy with it, we can turn off the heat and then possibly finish with a little bit of fresh herb. I had some Italian parsley, so I'm using that. But some freshly snipped chives are also a wonderful choice. So I stirred that in, and that's it. Our spätzle is ready to serve up. And yes, I'm pretty sure I pronounce that differently every single time I said it. I should have just stuck with spätzle, which, by the way, translates to little sparrows. So you could always go with that instead. But anyway, we'll spoon that up, and it's wonderful served as is, or maybe with a little grating of cheese, or even better yet, maybe make a little space in the middle and garnish this with a piece of cider braised pork shoulder. Oh yeah, that would be a great pairing.
Wow.
And I finished that up with a little extra creme fraiche and pinch of parsley. And normally at this point, I would say stay tuned for the pork video. But you know what? I think we already did it. But I'll check. If we don't, we'll do one.
Any thoughts about spätzle so far?
Oh, that looks so good, Chef. Jesus.
How easy that was?
It looks pretty easy to make.
Right.
Chef, we made special ones for 4,000 people. Do you know that? And you know what we used? The tilt skillet for one for the water.
Uh-huh.
And then we used a cooling rack. You remember the thin ones, the ones that have little squares, and put the cooling rack on top and put the spätzle on the top of it and grated it into the tilt skillet. That's how we made it. A lot.
So,
sorry to interrupt. I just cut my finger really bad. I can see like my fat, so I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay, no problem. Put the Gerber clean and put a bandit on it. So spätzle, easy to make, right, guys? Not that hard to make, right? Again, the batter has to be thicker than a pancake batter. If it goes through, it's too thin, make it thick, and then try it again, okay, on the spätzle. What else? And the next one is going to be Brussels sprouts, okay? You're going to get your Brussels sprouts, cut the bottom off, peel them, toss them in a little bit of oil, salt, and then roast them in the oven. That's all it takes, okay? You may, if they're too big, you may want to pre-blanch them and then roast them off, okay? So they won't shrink that much. Because when you pre-blanch them, you add moisture to the Brussels sprouts. When you roast them, they dries them out, okay? So spätzle, not that hard to make, easy batter. And what you got to do now is just find a little container or some kind of vessel to push it through to make those little shapes. I know, Ms. Haley, you said that you were showing how to make them into noodles, right?
Yeah, that's how I learned, was the noodle form, and that's the only way I've had them really so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try them both ways. See how they come out.
Like potato noodles.
Yeah. Try them both ways. See how they come out. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. So I know I've been sending you guys some of you guys your overall grade where you stand right now in private chat. We'll continue to send the rest of you guys on the next video. It'll take a few minutes and start giving you guys heads up. If you guys know where you stand, okay, passing grade is 65. If you're missing some work, submit it. If you're missing a lot of questions, submit, knock them out so you can increase your grade average. Okay, guys. So look at the chat. If you have not received one from me yet, I haven't gotten to you. Okay. Those of you guys who have, you guys know what to do, right, guys? So spätzle, pork or veal milanese, and they're gonna soak some white beans, navy beans or white beans. Okay. That's it. So veal milanese, aka pork, roasted Brussels sprouts, and spätzle. Easy and simple. Okay, easy and simple. Okay. On that day. Okay. Let's take a look at Wednesday. Wednesday. Where's Wednesday?
Excuse me, Chef. Is that video going to be available for us to look at it later again?
I'll put the link on the chat. Let me go away.
Thank you. Thank you, Chef.
Oh, come on, where are you? Okay.
I'm interested in knowing how to do that. It looks so good. Oh my God. So you've made it, Chef, yourself? Have you made it?
Oh yeah, like Chef said, we made larger amounts of spatzel on the tilt skillet, big one, and what
Right.
we use is we use a large food meal. You know, like you put you mash potatoes. We have one
Yes,
in a kind of a walk-in. It's a 3-wheel standing, and we take that over it and then pass it through.
Wow.
Or use a hotel pan that has a holes in it, a perforated hotel pan with large holes in it. You use that one as well too.
Okay.
So spatzel, and again, it's gotta have the brown butter. It's gotta have the crust, right, guys?
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw that.
So let's take a look at lamb. Mary had a little lamb. Had a little lamb.
Oh God.
So lamb, that's Wednesday. Lamb, delicious lamb. Okay. Wednesday is lamb. So veal was Tuesday. Lamb is Wednesday. Like I said, Mary had a
A
little.
little lamb.
Smile of the day.
Nice, I like that.
Smile of the day.
Yeah.
Right, Sheffy? A little meme for you guys. Mary had a little lamb. Right, Miss Janet?
I can't let my granddaughter see this.
Had a little lamb. Okay. All right, lamb is what's for dinner on Wednesday. Okay. Lamb is the meat of the sheep slaughtered when they are less than 1 year old. 1 year old. But beyond that, it's called mutton and it's really gamey in flavor. A while ago, back in Cali, 1991, 92, I went to Costco and bought some Colorado rack of lamb, and I brought it home, trimmed it, and ate it. Tried to eat it, it was too gamey. It was not lamb. It was like mutton. Okay.
Oh.
So meat from sheep slaughtered after that age is called mutton. Okay. Even though lamb accounts for a small percentage of the meat consumed in the United States, many people who do not prepare lamb at home will order at a restaurant because of its age. Lamb meat is tender. It can be prepared by almost any cooking method. I like my medium rare. Its strong, distinctive flavor allows chefs to offer bold, robust sauces and accompaniments that might mask the flavors of other meats. Again, less than 1 year old, it's not going to be as gamey, but it depends how you fabricate it. Remove that fat is what gives it a gamey flavor. Okay.
It's so sweet. It's like my favorite thing. My favorite thing as far as cuts of meat. Like lamb.
Delicious.
Chefs, I'm logging off. I need to go get stitches.
Ooh.
I can see my bone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So?
I just sharpened my knife and I was putting it away and I was like cleaning it off and I just missed I missed it. And I
Yes, please go take care of it.
That hurts.
Yeah. I'll be back.
Okay.
Well, I won't be back, but I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
My goodness.
Wow.
Ooh,
That
hurt.
was Chelsea, right?
Yeah, and it's her thumb too.
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
So lamb, Mary had a little lamb. Okay. Lamb primal and subprimal cuts of lamb. Okay. Shoulder. Okay. Blade chop, arm chop, shoulder roast, the breast and foreshank, spare ribs, riblets, rolled breast and shank, the rib chop, rib roast, crown roast, the loin, loin roast, loin chop, leg of lamb for Easter with some mint jelly on the side. Oh, delish. Okay. I love my lamb. Okay. Lamb cuts after the young sheep is slaughtered, easily reduced to subprimal cuts, shoulder, breast, rack, loin, and leg. Like sunveal primal, lamb primal cuts are crosscut sections that contain both bilateral halves. Shoulder, primal shoulder is relatively large, cut accounting for 36% of the carcass weight. The lamb shoulder contains 4 rib bones on the arm, a blade, neck bones, as well as many small tub muscles which grains travel in different directions. All these bones and muscle groups make it nearly impossible to cook and care for a whole shoulder. Although the shoulder may be cut into chops as well too. Breast, the primal lamb breast contains the breast and foreshank portions of the carcass. Together they account for approximately 17% of the carcass weight and contain the rib, the breast, and shank bones. The primal breast is located beneath the primal rack and contains the rib tips, which are cut off to produce the rack. When separated from the breast of the breast, these small ribs are called Denver ribs. And can be substituted for pork ribs and then when desired. Although the breast is not used extensively in food service operations, it can be stuffed or braised, either bone-in or boneless. Lamb fourchon are quite meaty and may be braised in service an entree used for broths and grounds. Okay, rack of lamb, my favorite. Rack of lamb, aside from the leg of lamb. Okay, for Easter. Primal lamb rack is also known as the hotel rack. So if you hear the word being used, the phrase hotel rack, it is the rack of lamb. It is coated between the primal shoulder and the loin, containing 8 ribs and portions of the backbone. It accounts for approximately 8% of the carcass weight. The rack is valued for its tender ribeye muscle. The hotel rack is easily split into half and trimmed so that each set of ribs can be easily cut into chops. The split racks can be grilled, broiled, or roasted, as racks are cut into single or double rib chops before cooking. The loin is located between the primal rib and leg, contains the rib number 13 and portions of the backbone, as well as the loin eye muscle. Tenderloin and flank, it accounts for approximately 13% of the carcass weight. Except the flank of the loin, meat is very tender and favorably cooked using dry heat methods such as broiling, grilling, or roasting. The loin may be boned to produce boneless roast or chops into cut chops with the bone end. The loin may be removed and cut into medallions or nosettes. Leg. Primal leg is large, a section accounting for approximately 34% of the carcass weight. It is the posterior portion of the carcass, separated from the loin by a straight cut anterior to the hip bone cartilage, as well as veal. The cut of meat that would be short loin or in a beef carcass separated from the lamb by its cut, it becomes part of the primal leg. Lamb contains several bones, so the backbone, tail, hip, and ache, run, and shank bones as well too. Nutrition. Okay. Lamb, especially when purchased in subprimal cuts, can be fabricated on site. It is an economical source of high quality protein, lean and lower cholesterol than any other red meats. Proteins, lamb. It is a good source of iron as compared with chicken, fish, or poultry. Lamb has less marbling than other red meats. Its less excessive fat appears to be on the outside of many cuts, can be easily be trimmed before cooking. Grass-fed lamb, like meat from the other grass-fed ruminants, is high in the powerful antioxidant conjugated linoleic acid, identified as a cancer preventative. Okay, so lamb is a cancer preventative, guys. Okay. I gotta go. Yeah. Where's my lamb? No, I'm not that. Where did he go? Lamb, here you go. Okay. Sorry, guys, I had to move things around my screen and I lost it, but I found it back. Here we go.
You're lucky you found it, Chef. I lose it and I just can never find anything back.
So here are some of the lamb dishes. Roasted leg of lamb with mint jelly. Jelly. For Easter, you take that, you roast it. You get a nice. This is a bone-in leg of lamb. You can also buy boneless, which comes in a twine net on it, and you roast it and slice it. Oh man, it's delicious. Every time I go to Easter, when I used to go to Easter brunch, that's the first thing I hit. Forget the salads, forget desserts. Lamb. Okay, lamb or rack of lamb. Okay, you got a rack of lamb on your repertoire, right? So this is where if you bought a whole rack of lamb, you can play with the different plating techniques. If you just have a half a rack, you can even go on the bottom here. Okay, 3 lamb chops. Okay, 3 lamb chops.
I like the top one, Chef, the one on the left.
Rack of lamb can be it can be each one.
My God,
2 racks of lamb for a nice little family meal for Easter, little buffet.
That looks good.
You can take a rack of lamb, cut it in half, and then intertwine it and present it on a plate. Give some height. Okay. So on.
What's the ask?
What was that, Sheffy? Okay. Hold on, I can hear you.
I think she's muted.
Chef, so how many lamb chops are usually at a serving?
At a serving, you have about 4 lamb chops because it's
for one serving.
One serving. You can have the whole rack of lamb, but it's how you present it. This one, if you present it like this, that's 2 racks of lambs. It's about, what is it? 1, 2, 3.
No, I see. I know.
8 bones. Okay. So 1 rack has 8 bones. Okay. And you can serve half a rack of lamb for 1 serving. but you can also serve the whole rack in a different direction, okay?
So how much does like 4 rack of lamb, how much does that run about? I estimated.
I don't know. I can tell you. I know I sold it for about, what is it, $48 a plate?
Wow.
48 for rack of lamb, but I never served it like this. I never presented it like this, okay? That's too big, too huge. So I'm going to show you different presentations that I used to do in the past with the rack of lamb. Okay, that's what I said. If you have the rack of lamb, you can play with it on your plate. Okay, if you have a half a rack of lamb, it's a little bit different. But again, having a whole rack of lamb, like the top left and the middle one, is for a family of 4 or maybe 6. Okay, the one here on the right hand side, which is a full rack of lamb, is for 2 servings.
Okay.
Bottom left is for 1 serving. Okay.
Okay.
So rack of lamb. Okay. So your menu on Wednesday, you have another salad. Okay. You have another salad. Now you know what we're looking for a salad. Okay. So on that day, I'm not going to give you a demo how to make salad. You guys saw the kind of salads that can be made. Okay. I am going to make something different that day for the salad. I'm going to wait that for the last minute. Okay. So you got another salad to make on Wednesday. Again, why? Because this is practice for you practical guys. You had one running with the salad. You're going to make another one this day. Okay. So practice. You know what we're looking for. Knife cuts. Okay. Roasted rack of lamb. And it's Marie Louise, the style. That's why in your shopping list, grocery list, it has molasses because Marie Louise was Napoleon's widow, and her recipe style has something sweet in it. That's why in this one, the rack of lamb has molasses. It's called rack of lamb Marie Louise. Okay. Haricot panache. Yes, haricot panache is green beans that have been blanched, sauteed, and they're going to be mixed with the navy beans or white beans you pre-soaked on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you're going to cook them until soft and tender, strain them, set them aside. You're going to also blanch in green beans, trim them, blanch in green beans, saute, strain them, pat them dry, saute them in butter, and add those navy beans to the green beans. That's haricot panache. Green beans, navy beans combined.
Pouring rain.
Okay. Risotto. You got risotto on the menu on Wednesday. Okay. You know how to make risotto. We made it already. You know what is expected. You know the whole technique. You know we're looking for that
the back one, yeah.
Part of it, the nice crusty part of the risotto from the natural sugars being extracted. So you got risotto on Thursday. Okay, you got demi-glace. I hope you still have your brown meal stock that you saved from week 2. I still got mine. It is saved. I'm going to use demi-glace. I'm going to make demi-glace on Wednesday. Demi-glace, you take half of that and reduce it until it's almost a syrupy consistency. That's demi-glace. Okay, and you're gonna incorporate some rosemary. If you don't want rosemary, leave it out. I'm not gonna use rosemary. Okay, rosemary is too strong for the lamb. I'm gonna head to the store, see if I can buy some mint jelly and mix that into the rosemary and make mint jelly demi-glace. Okay. So your menu is a little bit more extensive on Wednesday, but you already made a salad. Now you're gonna do rack of lamb. Now you're gonna do the veg and the beans and your risotto, and now you're gonna go to a sauce. Okay.
Jeff, can I ask a question?
Sure.
No one in my area or around my area sells lamb. What do I do?
Lamb, see if you can do a pork tenderloin instead.
Okay, chef.
Okay. And I'm going to show you how to present that pork tenderloin as well too, okay?
Yes, chef.
Okay. So to prep ahead of the game, so you're not bogged down for the massive amount of products, you can mix down your items for risotto. Okay. You can clip your green beans. Okay. Clip them. Okay. I might even let you guys blanch your green beans before class. Okay. You can blanch your green beans before class because you got so much going on in your stovetop. So blanch you in shock and ice the green beans before class. Okay. Your navy beans are going to be soaking for the night before. You're going to cook them that day up because they got to be fresh off the stovetop. Okay. So mix out your risotto items, blanch your green beans, soak your navy beans, okay? And then you can also start making the demi-glace. Take half of that brown stock you guys made and reduce it to a quarter of that amount. That's demi-glace. Very low and slow. You may want to start that early in the morning, especially Mr. Larry, right? So you're limited on the amount of space on stovetop and stock-wise you have. So you can make the demi-glace even tonight, Mr. Larry, if you want, okay? So demi-glace can may be made ahead of time. Risotto can be missed out. You can pre-blanch the green beans ahead of time, okay? So here's another sample of some salads, okay? And again, it's up to you guys how you guys are going to be making your salad. I showed you guys two different styles. Somebody made the one here in the bottom, in the middle, with little tomato wedges, stuff like that, okay? Then we made the roulade. But if you got some radishes, you can always slice them Bermuda style, put them in a ring mold, and put them on the side, and then put your mixed grain that's in tight, and slowly remove the ring mold while leaving the radishes intact, okay? If you want to make a mixed grain on the bowl, take a look at the top left. Utilizing some of the leaves standing out like a back, like a wall, and then your knife cuts on the cucumber, tomatoes, and then your mixed greens here in the middle, okay? If you want to really go off the wall and experiment with your plating techniques, this is another different way of the middle here, okay? Or more simpler, here on the top right, okay? Maybe a couple of those iced tomato cucumbers, and then you arrange your mixed greens on top, give it a little bit of height, okay? Well, the bottom one, somebody made a wedge salad the other day, okay? The wedge salad is about the knife cuts and what you utilize on top. So again, it's your discretion how you're going to make the salad, but now you know what we're looking for. So if I were you, Google some pictures of some gourmet mixed green salads and take a look what best fits your repertoire, your knife skills, your knife sets, and try to mimic that salad, okay? It's okay, you can copy that salad on the internet. I'm not against it.
I have a question, Chef.
Sure.
I do not have stuff to make salad because I didn't know it was going to be on the list.
So you have no lettuce, no tomatoes, no cucumbers, nothing at all?
I have cucumber because that was on the list.
What else you got?
That's it. I might have radishes still from last week.
Carrots, onions, celery?
Don't have carrots. I'm having to get my mom to buy everything because I don't have the funds from class because I spent it all on everything that was on the shopping list.
Okay. So what about, do you have extra beans that you bought?
Yes.
Okay.
I should have enough beans.
So make a bean salad.
Okay.
Okay. Pre-cook your beans, strain them, shock it, get it nice and cold, and make that nice little bean salad with your celery, whatever you got floating around, cucumbers, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Chef.
So just got to figure out how you're going to present that bean salad, all right?
Okay. Thank you.
So mixed green salad, in this case, if you don't have the mixed greens, Ms. Haley, if you don't have out of funds, if you got some extra beans, make a bean salad, okay? Next one up is your roasted rack of lamb, okay? This is half a rack, okay? The top left picture, the left picture is one lamb chop. The bone has been removed after it's been cooked, and then sliced on the bias, and the loin has been put like a little smokestack, and then the other half of the lamb with the bone in resting against it like that, giving it some height, okay? Or you can use the negative space on this round plate, leave the bone in, trim it, roast it, cut it in half, put your risotto in the middle the long way, sauce across, and the lamb on top of the risotto, facing that way, okay? Or if you want to get some height, like it's almost on the right hand side pictures, go ahead and sear your lamb chops after they've been cleaned, put your risotto in the middle, and lay your lamb chops up in the middle with the bone sticking out, okay? The one on the right hand side is a little bit tricky. If you have the whole rack of lamb, you can accomplish making this nice little crown, okay? So different ways in the rack of lamb. Those are just some of the ideas, okay, guys? Here's what I've done in the past. This is what I've actually done, okay?
Wow.
So the one on the right-hand side is the rack of lamb that has been crusted with herbs and pistachios, and the lamb is arranged in a circular motion with the bones facing each way. After the rack of lamb has been French cleaned arrange a circular motion with the risotto in the middle and the garnishes and the sauce underneath it. The one in the middle, this one was the one that cost $48. You take the whole rack of lamb, Frenched it, clean it, remove the loin so the loin is boneless. You take the loin, grill it or sear it in the grill, nice and medium rare, bring it out, rest it. You take that rack of the bones and you tie it, you turn it out, inside out, and you tie it with butcher's twine. So we tied it and dropped it in the fry later or roasted it. Cooked it all the way through. Brought it out, let it sit for a few minutes, remove the butcher's twine, have a little, in the middle, a little mashed puree potatoes, and put that crown in the middle, and lay that loin slice shingled around the potatoes, resting against the rack of lamb, and the asparagus resting against the crown. And there was a huckleberry demi-glace, little things here, the huckleberries. And we have some Granny Smith apple fresh mint jelly relish on top of that lamb. The one on the right-hand side is the most recent one I did not too long ago, like around April. Same rack of lamb. I deboned it, removed the loin, tied the crown, deep fried it, removed the whatchamacallit, the butcher's twine, cut the base off so it's nice and firm, set it down on my plate. And this is the blue plate that I use for plating sometimes you guys. This are my mashed potatoes, piped them, put the crown against the potatoes so it stayed nice and whole. Took some avocados, dredged them in cornmeal, and then fried them until golden brown. Set the avocado slice on the bottom, and some of my sliced lamb loin around the top of the base of avocados against the potatoes and the crown. And the red part you saw there is a cherry tomato habanero jam. It's sweet.
That is really good.
It's sweet, it's spicy. Tomatoes go with avocados, and it's a regional dish. So you got two lambs. One is regional with the habanero cherry tomato jam, the cornmeal fried avocado slices, and the one in the middle is the mint jelly, Granny Smith apples with huckleberry demi-glace. So that's if you have the whole crown, okay? But you got to be able to know how to French that crown. Okay, let me see if I can find. How to French that rack of lamb, so you guys can know what you're walking into when you clean it. Okay.
That is good though.
So two different ones. One is with mint jelly at Granny Smith apples and fresh mint, huckleberry demi, and one is here in regional with a habanero tomato jam. And let me tell you guys what, habaneros are spicy, but the sweetness of the cherry tomatoes and the sugar that goes into making that jam, oh man, it was off the hook. And the crispiness of the avocados with cornmeal, it just hit the spot. Okay. So here's your haricot panache. This is what I'm talking about. It's your green beans, your navy beans. You got to cook those green beans. Now, there's two different ways you can go about it. Go ahead and blanch your green beans, set them aside, saute them. Okay. Soak your navy beans, cook them off. Okay. So what I'm going to do with my green beans, I'm going to tie them in a little bundle, like a little haystack. Put them on the side. Put my risotto. So my bundles. Here's my risotto. My bundles of green beans are staying against the green beans, and then put my beans underneath it, and then put rest my rack of lamb against all the products. Those got height center of the plate. I don't want to mix my navy beans with my green beans though, so I'm going to play with the presentation on that day. Okay. So haricot panache is sauteed, blanched and sauteed green beans with cooked navy beans mixed together. Okay. But I'm going to deconstruct mine. Risotto. You guys should know how to make risotto. Okay. No mushroom, just plain risotto with sucre, little Parmesan cheese. Okay. Risotto. Okay. And demi-glace. This is how I used to use my demi-glace, make my demi-glace at work. Yes, chef, this is at Lakeway. This happened at Lakeway. This is in the back of the banquet kitchen.
Wow.
So my demi-glace, I used to get my 50 pounds of veal bones, smear them in tomato paste, put them in a sheet tray, roast them in the oven, put them in the tilt skillet, add in my mirepoix, my caramelized onions and carrots, add water, And in my onions, I would add some onion brulee. On the top right picture is what we call onion brulee. You take the onion, cut it in half, skin on and grill it, and then put that into the stock. Like you see here in the bottom picture, bottom left picture, okay? That is onion brulee, okay? Onion brulee went into the mixture. And when it was 24 hours, I'll take that stock, strain it, okay, chill it, and then I will reduce it. So it may end up making about 20 gallons, no, about 15 gallons of stock. Took down and reduced it to less than 4 gallons. That's demi-glace. And what I have here in my hand with the glass is the actual demi-glace. And I tested against a white plate, see how thick it was, if it was the nappy at the back of the spoon.
Wow.
So that's 50 pounds of veal bones, smeared with tomato paste, roasted, put in my steam kettle jacket. It's about a 60-gallon jacket. Put some water, caramelize my carrots and onions, mix them in, add some onion brulee, add to the stock, let it go 24 hours, strain it, reduced it to from 15 to 4 gallons. And in that, I put in a glass just like red wine and try to gauge to see how thick it was, how's the consistency. And then lay a little bit on my plate, see if it will stay on the plate or not, see how it will be the nap at the back of the spoon. Okay. And that is actual picture full work when I used to be in the kitchens. And tell you guys what, I had many of my former classmates when we were about to graduate from the CIA, they had a big, huge chip on their shoulder. They were like, man, I'm a chef now. I'm not gonna ever do chop an onion and make demi-glace. I'm like, dude, you're in this for life, man. You go now with a chip on your shoulder, you're not gonna make demi-glace from now on. You're in the wrong business. Okay. This is here I am. What is it? Graduate 98. 20 plus years later, I'm still making demi-glace. Okay. So demi-glace, I'm gonna leave the rosemary out. If you have it, what I would suggest is reduce it with a little bit of red wine, if you have any. If not, reduce it with a little bit of water and add your demi-glace to it, let it go, and then strain it, okay? Your veal stock and make demi-glace and strain it, okay? But that's demi-glace. So that's your menu for Wednesday, okay? You have salad, roasted rack of lamb, haricot spinach, which means blanched sauteed green beans mixed with navy beans, risotto, which you guys already made, and demi-glace, which you have your brown meal stock that you saved from the last time, okay? Now let's go take a look at how to French the rack of lamb. One of the ways, okay? If you got a whole lamb, how to French that lamb. I'm gonna put that link on the chat too, okay, Ms. Maru?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Armentrout, Fine Cooking Senior Food Editor and Test Kitchen Manager. Today I'm going to show you how to French a rack of lamb. Frenching a rack of lamb basically means to take a whole unfrenched rack of lamb and turn it into this. And all I've done here is taken away the meat and the fat from in between the first few inches of bone. It just gives it a cleaner look, especially once it's roasted. If you have a good butcher near you, you can get them to do that for you, but it's actually a sort of a satisfying butchering task that you can do at home too. The first step is to cut a straight line down the length of the rack. I'm going to position it about 2 to 3 inches away from the ribeye meat here. There is a good bit of meat in here that's sort of nice to gnaw on once you have the roasted bones. I'm going to cut clear down to the bones, just using a fair amount of pressure. This rack happens to have a bit of the shoulder blade still in it, but I was able to cut clear through it. So if you find that your rack also has one, don't worry about it yet. We're going to get it out later. If you can't cut through the shoulder bone, you can also just remove it right now. So step 2 is to use the line that you just cut here as a guide, and then you're going to pierce through in between the bones. Just clear through and try to get your knife, right in between the bones. And just continue down the length between each one. The knife I'm using is a boning knife. It's thin bladed, fairly sharp. It gives me a good amount of agility and flexibility in moving around the bones. Okay, step 3 is to score the membrane off the bones here. You start at the point where you pierce through. I'm using a fair amount of pressure to really cut down to the bones. It's going to help the membrane come free in a moment. Now is the part where you really need to use some elbow grease. I'm going to be bending the meat back from the bones here. So I have my thumbs in between the bones and my fingers on the back where the meaty side is. And just use a fair amount of pressure to pop this back. Might take you a little while, just keep at it. Some racks are easier to do than others. If you find that you're having a little bit of resistance, you can also go back and score again, because maybe you just didn't score it quite well enough at the beginning. Like this one's giving me a little bit of a problem. Once you get down to the point where you had pierced through, you'll see that the strip of meat starts to pull away on its own. Yeah, it's a little gruesome, but we're going to clean it up. Once you've got it mostly cleared away, you just can come back and shave off that last piece of meat. Maybe cut that off too. Now you want to clean up the bones a little bit and get any last remaining membrane bits of meat off of there. There are a couple of different ways you can do it. I usually use a combo of both. First is just using the knife to kind of cut around, get those little bits, the bigger bits. You can also scrape with the back of the knife. And the last technique is to use a clean cloth and just sort of pull along. Maybe use your fingernail to sort of scrape off those bits of membrane. And just keep at it. All right, last step. There's a whole layer of fat and meat that's on top of the eye of the rack, and that's actually scrap. It needs to come off, and it'll just peel right off in one layer. That's really holding on to the knife to just free things up. And down at the bottom, you may need to cut it off. Should your rack of lamb have this row of bones still attached to it, you're going to want to trim those off because they'll get in the way of carving the rack into chops. And there we go.
Rack of lamb, any thoughts about that, guys?
Wow.
No, that's pretty simple.
And then
You don't take that membrane off the back of it. She didn't take that off, did she?
no, you can remove some of that because that has fat and also will give it that gamey flavor to it. So if it has so much gamey the fat back, I usually take it off. I don't leave it, but try not to deep into the fabrication because if you cut too much, you're gonna waste a lot of the loin. You need some of that meat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that one?
I like.
Wow, I like that.
Right. Easy to do. Just got to take your time on it. Okay.
Right.
Where did my screen go? There you go. So we have rack of lamb, right? On the day. How's it went? Oh no. Rack of lamb. Chef, it's 12 o'clock. You want to take a little break? All right, guys, 2 o'clock. We don't have much to go. So take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 12:10. Okay. I send you guys. I've been sending you guys your overall grade through private chat. I think I got most of you guys covered. Okay. Only the ones that are not here. Cameron, I never heard from him. Okay. So that's where you guys are sitting at. You guys know what to do. This is the week of. Okay. So take a 10-minute break. If you guys have any questions for us, let us know. We're still here. I'm gonna get a drink of water, but see you guys in about 10 minutes, okay?
Yes, Chef.
Chef,
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm looking at the recipes for this week, and the only thing we're using bell peppers for is the couscous, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Can I?
You can leave them out. Yep, you can leave them
Okay.
out.
Thank you. I don't like to be wasteful, so I like to eat everything or use everything I cook. So.
Yeah, no, you can leave the bell peppers out. I'm gonna go through the list if you guys have not shopping yet. See what you guys can leave out, don't need, and what we can improvise for some of the items, okay?
Thank you, Chef.
Let me get a drink of water real quick. Pork is what's next. Pork.
Could I put pistachios on my lamb instead of the hazelnuts?
If you have them, yeah.
Okay.
But you gotta have the molasses because it's Marie Louise.
Okay. I have a stupid question.
I got an answer.
Okay. So at work, every time we make a fennel salad, we only use the bulb and we throw the green part away, which I feel like is really wasteful to eat the green part.
You can use the green part in fish fumet. That's about it.
Is that where you like just put it in inside the fish and let it cook?
No, you use it for when you have fish bones. You make fish stock. You use the green parts to make kind of flavor that fish stock.
I see it as garnish sometimes on things too.
Sometimes people like to use the little leaves that resemble like dill and use it for garnish.
That's smart to know. I know somebody who's allergic to dill that would work for a garnish for them.
Yeah, the little fennel leaves.
Smart.
There's some stuff my work is just like, yeah, just throw it away. And I'm like, that's so wasteful. I'm going to put it in a container and take it home.
Hopefully, by the time you guys get to farm to table, you'll be back in the kitchen's full swing. Hopefully.
I think the new year. What do you think, Chef?
It all depends on what's going around, but hopefully, yeah, we're looking into the next year being only Mondays online lecture, and then hopefully the rest of the days on campus. Because when you guys go to farm to the table, I hope that you guys get to experience that pig breakdown, how to break that pig.
If we don't, are we going to have to do it at home?
No, you can buy the couple of some kind of smaller subprimal cuts, a bigger subprimal cuts, and break it down at the house.
So if we do farm to table online, do we just buy a whole pig, hang it up in our kitchen, and just call it a day? That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Your mom just walks in. Why is there a whole pig in my kitchen? Don't ask questions.
Yeah, no. You need a big, large table, wooden table to fabricate the pig, and a lot of freezer and refrigerator space for all those cuts meats to go in.
That's when we need to invest in one of the big freezers.
And possibly in the garage. Maybe, hang up in the garage.
Yeah, we're trying to get me a new fridge, so I'm not taking up all the space in the normal fridge.
Yeah, a fridge in the garage should work fine. Gives it extra space.
That'd be funny though, just a whole pig just hanging in the kitchen. No biggie.
Do you think we'll be back to school by then, Chef?
Yes, I think so. I think by the new year coming around.
Because my kitchen's very small. It's really hard to work in here.
Yeah, and we missed the social part of being in the kitchen, right, Sheffy?
And then we get to meet you all. God bless us.
I saw you yesterday, Chef.
Life's a bitch and then you die.
Where you see her at?
That's funny.
She came to my work to say hi.
Oh, okay. Which one is Lamar? North Lamar?
I didn't realize how far it was. I live in Hutto. It's like the end of the world over there.
I'm the one on South Lamar in South Austin, and she thought that I was North Lamar, so she went to two different ones.
Oh, you're the one by Westgate.
I'm in Westgate.
Okay. I like that one better than the one North Lamar.
It's like crowded there, and it's so closed off, and the ceilings are low. It's not a friendly place.
No, and the parking lot is a mess to go in there. The only reason I trouble that route is to go when I donate blood. I go that route. That's about it. Yeah, but I couldn't get over how close it was to Route 1. It is. Or you can zip off around. It's between Mopac and 935. But you know what? My GPS took me everywhere. They take you the long way all the time. And I could have got there half the time. Yeah. Yeah, when I go there, I did hop on Mopac South and then hop off 360 and then exit that road and you can turn around and go back to Westgate. Oh, I know. See, I used to live within Oak Hill, so it was closer back then to Central Market. It was like 20 minutes away.
I was so excited to talk to you, Chef, that I forgot my potatoes were in the oven, and I went back in the kitchen and they burned. Did they burn?
Central Market. They
did, but only one pan. I had 6 pans and only one pan burned, and it was fine. Oh, that's good. They have beautiful flowers there. They do, and our sunflowers are so big, and they're only like $10 for a bundle. Well, my son Gerald, he got his flowers from Central Market. Did you know that, Chef?
and we did all the arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the bill just for the flowers were like $1,600.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But they were beautiful.
Yeah, I love to go on the one in South Austin because, man, it's like I want a flatbed and just load it up.
I think the employees at the North Lamar store too, they're not as friendly because they don't want to be there. And
Yeah,
we
they're
will
not.
like stop you when you walk and we'll like, hey, do you need help with anything? Like, because we actually like talking to people.
They wouldn't last around me. Yesterday was Chef Pam's birthday.
Oh, did you see her? Did you visit her?
Yeah, we went out for breakfast.
Nice. How's she doing?
Oh, she's doing great. But we only stayed at the table for 3 hours. I think they were ready to throw us out.
Again? Where'd you guys go?
Cafe Java.
Okay.
You've been there?
Where's Cafe Java?
On Gaddiscoo Road.
Oh, close where you live at. Yeah, no.
Miranda was there.
Okay.
It was her 3rd anniversary and Chef's birthday, so
Nice.
we went and had breakfast.
Chef Pam talks quite a bit.
Huh?
Chef Pam talks quite a bit.
Chef Pam doesn't talk at all.
She does.
Okay.
She does.
Well, maybe, yeah, okay.
But she's
Miranda talks a lot. I talk a lot, and my husband just stays quiet.
I know, he's like.
Miranda's husband stays quiet, and us women take over.
I know.
They know better.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, they know better. After 50 years, he should know better. But I'm the lucky one. I'm the lucky one. Still raining.
Yeah, here in the morning, I wasn't able to go to the park in my pup.
Yeah.
All right, guys, 12:10. Let's see who's back. So maybe on.
It's pretty good. 29. It's good.
Mhm.
Jeffrey, you're awful quiet today.
What is it, Mr. Lyric?
I can use Japanese breadcrumbs for the, I don't even know how to say it. What is that, a scopolis or scopolis or?
Right. If you can't find the regular just breadcrumbs, use Japanese breadcrumbs.
All right, that's a bet. I got some of those anyways. Panko.
Yep.
I love them.
I
I
might
like to make my own.
I might turn my panko into regular breadcrumbs because I'm gonna put them in my little grinder and make them finer. So, all right, let's go over to the 24. There's not too much to talk about the 25, so it's probably going to be a shorter slide, guys. So we may end up shooting out here faster than we expected. Okay. So, but yeah, we still got to go with the shopping list and the recipe, so we got some time to go. Okay. So pork on Thursday. Pork. Okay. Delicious pork. I love my pork. Okay. Pork is the meat of the hogs, usually butchered before they are 1 year old. With the expectation of beef, Americans consume more pork than any other meat. The pork we eat is leaner and healthier than it once was because of advances in animal husbandry. And let me tell you guys what, I know you guys seen the videos on social media about how horrible they get treated and whatever not before they get slaughtered. It's not like that, okay? They put them down two different ways, okay? They put them in an elevator, take them down, and then gas them when they knock them out, they put them to sleep totally. And then when they put to sleep, they hang him by the hind leg and they bleed him out. They cut him to their artery brain, so they bleed out. But they don't feel anything at all because they're anesthesiated. The other way they put him down is when they put him in a conveyor belt and they shock him behind the ear, the head, and run the heart here with electric shock, and then electrocutes them. Okay. So anywho, because hogs are butchered at a young age, their meat is generally carried tender with a delicate flavor. Pork can be enjoyed cured, processed, or fresh. Mild flavor of fresh pork blends well with many different seasonings, making it a popular menu item. It is naturally tender and can be prepared by almost any dry heat, moist heat, or combination of cooking method. More than 2/3 of the pork market in the U.S. is cured to produce products such as smoked hams and the smoked bacon. Primal and subprimal cuts of pork. After the hog is slaughtered, it generally is split down to the backbone, dividing the carcass into bilateral halves. Hogs are bred specifically to produce long loins. Loin contains the highest quality meat and is the most expensive cut of pork. Pork is unique in that the ribs and the loin are considered to be single primal. They're now separated into the two different primal cuts. They are the ribs, loin, and the beef, the veal and lamb. The shoulder of the pork. Primal shoulder, known as the picnic ham. It is a lower portion of the hog's foreleg and accounts for approximately 20% of the carcass weight. The shoulder contains the arm, the shank bones, and the relatively high ratio of the bone to lean meat. The Boston butt. Primal Boston butt is a square cut located just above the primal pork shoulder. It accounts for approximately 7% of the carcass weight. The Boston butt is very meaty and tender with a good percentage of fat to lean meat. It contains only about a small portion of the blade bone. The Boston butt is a good choice when the recipe calls for a solid piece of lean pork. The belly, I love some belly, especially when it's sous vide and it's smoked. Oh, it's delish. The primal pork belly is located below the loin, accounts for approximately 16% of the carcass weight. Very fatty with only streaks of lean meat. It contains the spare ribs, which are always separated from the rest of the belly before cooking. The loin is cut from directly behind the Boston butt, then includes the entire rib section as well as the loin and pork portion of the sirloin steak. The primal loin accounts for approximately 20% of the carcass weight. From the loin comes the pork spare ribs, pork back ribs, pork tenderloin, and pork loin chops. Okay. The fresh ham. The fresh ham is the hog's hind leg. It's rather cut, accounting for approximately 24% of the carcass weight. The ham contains the ache, leg bone, and hind shank bones. Like many of the cuts of pork, the hams are often cured and smoked. Ooh, smoked ham hocks, man. Or some beans and some collard greens. Yeah, delicious. But fresh hams also produce great roast and can be prepared almost using any cooking method. Nutrition, like any other meats, pork is a good source of protein, vitamin B, and other essential nutrients. But it's also high in fat, especially saturated fats. So new feeding techniques, the fat content of pork has been lowered in recent years. Let's take a look at pork butchery. I like this guy. This guy is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna.
Love pork fat.
Oh yeah. Oh man, you get so much lard out of the pork fat. Okay. So
I made some green split peas yesterday, chicharros, and I put some ham hocks on there. Chef, oh my God, that's just all. That's all I needed. With one malanga, just sliced down there. It's so good.
The first time I saw a pig get fabricated, I was like 5, and it was my best friend pig. Like this thing, like I saw this thing born, raised, and everything, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is Buddy, by the way," and I'm just like,
"That's awful."
Well, he's already dead, so.
That's awful.
Wow.
I was just like, "Wow, okay," but at least we're.
Wilbur. Wilbur.
Wilbur.
Here's Wilbur and this guy's shoulder.
They put on all the bags and everything.
Oh my God.
Wilbur. Somebody's hitting roast. Let's take a look at this pork butchery. Okay. This is exactly what is being done from the table on the school campus. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Hopefully you guys will go back full time on campus, so you guys can get a chance to fabricate this pig like he does. Of course, he goes fast, but it's about, when we fabricate the pig, it takes 1 week to fabricate it from the rooter to the tutor, okay? Speaking of pork, We went over the primal cuts and the subprimals. What is the one part that is not good for consumption that the USDA does not allow you to eat from the pig?
Is it the brain?
Liver?
Nope.
You broke. What was the question again, Chef?
What is the one part of the pig that the USDA does not allow you to eat?
The bladder.
Nope.
Heart.
Heart.
Nope.
Tongue?
Lungs?
The lungs. The lungs.
Bingo! The lungs. The USDA does not allow the lungs to be sold for consumption because that's where the pigs their blood gets filtered through.
Oh, okay.
The breathe in, breathe out, and the fetus the bottoms of the lungs. The USDA does not allow you to eat the lungs from the pig. In other countries, yes, you can eat the lungs. Here in the US does not. You cannot eat the lungs. The other part of the pig that you can eat, but it's not it doesn't have good flavor. It's kind of astringent. Are the nipples of the pig. Usually we cut them out and throw them in the trash.
Oh.
Cut them out, throw them in the trash because it's so astringent. But even the sphincter muscle can be cut away. A little bit of salt, grill, always delicious. Okay, a little bit of salt in the grill. Even the sphincter can be eaten, but not the lungs. Okay.
I'm gonna take your word for it, Chef.
Sphincter nipple soup.
Yeah, the nipples. Yeah, just cut them off and throw them in the trash. All right, here we go. Fabricating the pig.
My name is Brian Mayer. I'm a butcher, educator, and writer. Today we're here at Wybrook Farms, where we're going to break down half a pig into cuts that you would see at your local butcher shop. So the first thing that we're going to do is we remove the leaf lard. Leaf lard is the most neutral of all, which means it doesn't have a lot of taste to it. Traditionally, it would be pie crust and stuff like that before the advent of shorts. Right here, I'm just kind of removing a bit of the fat. This is just sort of a preliminary step. We'll come back later in terms of removing the sirloin section, but that just kind of gets it out of the way and also makes it a little bit easier to pull the tenderloin off. So along with the leaf lard, one of the first things we'll do is actually remove the kidney. Kidneys are wonderful. I usually grind them with my grind and put them into sausage. So here I just follow along the lumbar vertebrae right to where it turns into the sacral vertebrae and right into the H-bone. And I just follow along a very natural seam. And you can
He's making what we call a seam cut. Seam cut, okay?
very easily pull off the tenderloin. Once you sever those first connections, it almost comes off by hand. So here we're going to remove the shoulder section. For our purposes today, I was counting between the 5th and the 6th rib. And that's traditionally where a butcher hog would be broken. If we were cutting it for charcuterie, we would want to elongate certain muscles. So we would cut between, say, the 6th and the 7th for charcuterie. And what I'll be able to do is basically joint. So I'll be able to remove this section without sawing. And what that does is that helps the life of the carcass. I'm not sawing through something, so I'm not generating heat, which will...
It's also using a knife called a scimitar. Scimitar knife. I call it the Alibaba knife. Okay.
Will cause the muscles to oxidize a little.
That's it.
And I'm also not injecting a little bit of the bone dust into the muscle. So now I'm going to remove just a little bit more of that flank section. And you can see back here with that skin, this hog is hung for about 7 days. So it's really dry. So that skin is pretty tough to break through. So I'm just moving it out of the way because what I want to do is expose this last vertebrae in the lumbar section. And what I'll be able to do here is the same thing. I'll use the weight of the animal to joint and not have to saw. And that piece comes off fairly easily. And then so the last cut is to separate the belly from the loin section. And here we want to make sure that we get a nice enough of a tail, a nice enough of a rib bone on our pork chop without cutting our bellies incredibly short. Bellies get turned into bacon. Bacon is a great value-added product for butchers. Everybody loves bacon, so it's definitely within the butcher's best interest to have as much bacon as possible. So these are the 4 primals: your shoulder, loin, belly, and ham, along with your tenderloin, leaf lard, kidney, and the head. And then from here, we're going to break them down into other cuts. So we've got the shoulder section here, which consists of the butt, the picnic, and then a hock and a trotter. Here, what we're doing is removing the trotter from the rest of the arm bone. I was planning to do zamponi, but with the skin being as dry as it was, I thought maybe we'd joint the leg instead. So first, the trotter comes off. Then we're going to locate the joint between the ulna, the radius, and the humerus. We'll cut across, and then we'll use the weight of the entire shoulder to break that piece off. And so we're going to saw the picnic and the butt in half, right along this natural curve in the spine. You don't want to saw through muscle, so we'll stop. We'll make a cut. And then again, a bit of the scapula is still in there. So we'll stop, we'll saw again, make our way through that bone. Once we're through that bone, we'll continue to cut through again. So now we have our two sections. We have the top portion, which is the butt, and the bottom is the picnic. So here I'm just removing the spine, and that's a really great cut to use if you are making something like pork rillettes. And so what you would do is you would take those bones along with some fat, some spices, and some alcohol, cook those things down, drain off the fat, peel the meat off the bone, put that meat in a jar, pour the fat on top of it, wait for it to solidify, grab a baguette, and eat. Here what I'm doing is I'm seaming out the longissimus muscle and some of the other shoulder muscles, and I'm just following right along the shoulder blade. There's a very natural seam there that it can just peel right away. And there I'm just pulling off a little bit of that excess fat. That fat will get used in sausage, that fat will get rendered to cook with later, and the skin is really great. We can take skin and turn it into things like chicharrones, or we can just add.
Oh God.
So here I'm just following this very natural seam, and I'm removing the longissimus muscles, which will make up the copa, from the bottom portion of that muscle, which is the serratus, which will get cut into the pork denver. So here I'm just removing a bit of the scapula that's still left in. Traditionally, this would get turned into sausage. And I think it's really great that we pulled the top half of this section away and used this for steaks and for roasts. And we're really trying to minimize the amount of trim off here. So here I'm just following along the natural seam, and I'm going to remove a little bit of this.
Look at all the fat in the skin. Oh man. Like I said, from the table, it takes about a week to fabricate the whole pig. Everybody takes a part of it. And to remove that fat from the skin, it takes some elbow grease. And the fat makes about 7 to 8 quarts of lard.
Skin. And what we can do is we'll just turn this into a boneless, skinless pork roast. These muscles in this particular part are they're going to need low, moist heat to break down all that connective tissue and collagen. Here I'm following the natural seam, and what I'm removing would be what is considered the short rib or spare rib. These I'll leave whole, or what I can do is cut them into individual spare ribs. One of the really great things about pig is every bit is usable, from the blood, from the skin, from all the offal that's allowed to be used. I think that the only one that we're not allowed to use are the lungs, but really everything gets used. And I think that pigs really exemplify whole animal butchery. What I'm pulling off here is something that you don't normally see, and it's the pork brisket. And again, it's just another way to have a sort of more usable, versatile, slow cooking roast. I'm going to take the remaining section, and I'm going to tie that up into a full roast. And here I'm just basically squaring it off, just making it into a sort of a more manageable, useful cut. So here's a breakdown of the shoulder. And now what I'm going to do is trim and clean these cuts in a way that you might see them in a butcher shop. So I'm just removing silver skin. Maybe if there's excess fat, I'm getting rid of it. Maybe if there's some oxidized areas. One of the things that I love to do with hocks is to pierce the skin, and what that's going to allow is some of the moisture to escape while it slow cooks. So that'll get that really puffy skin. Here I'm taking the spare ribs, and all I'm doing is just separating them right between each rib. So that's the pork brisket. I'm just going to remove some excess fat. Again, something that you don't normally see, but it's a fun cut to try. Here we're just kind of removing some of that excess fat, and that'll go into getting rendered, or that'll go into sausage. And then again, the skin gets used in stock. The skin you can make chicharrones, which is wonderful and great, but is a long, arduous process. Another great thing that you can do with skin is pet treats, and it's a really, really healthy snack for them. So now I'm working with the picnic that we have left after we remove the brisket. So here I'm scoring it, and I'm going down a little bit into the fat, because what I want is that fat to render and almost self-baste while I slow cook this. And again, I can smoke this, or I can just very easily just put it in the oven at a very low temp and let that cook. It's going to take a substantial amount of time. So this is the section of the shoulder where we remove the scapula. I'm scoring it just to make it nicer visually. And here we'll just tie this, which will keep the shape more consistent so it'll cook more evenly. So we'll take the trotter and we'll split it in half. We'll expose the center of that trotter, and that collagen will render much easier into our stock. Next up, we have all the longissimus muscles, and those are the longest muscle group in the body. And so it will be the eye in your pork chop, or it is the copa, and that's what we're going to do here. Is we are going to tie a copa roast, but then also cut copa steaks. So here are the final cuts from our shoulder. Some of these cuts, if not all, you'll find in your local butcher shop. So the next section that we have here is the belly. So here I'm just following along the spare rib bones, long sweeping strokes, trying to leave as much muscle as I can on the belly side and trying to remove the spare ribs in as few strokes as possible. Because the belly, turning it into bacon, is a great way for butchers to have a value-added product. So here I'm just going to follow along the natural seam, and you can see that the secreto, or this abdominal muscle, easily pulls away from the remainder of the belly. There's lots of opinions as to where the secreto comes from. I like to pull it from the belly because it's the most easily accessible and it's got great flavor and a lot of fat.
Also known as the skirt steak on beef, okay?
Here I'm removing a little bit of the gland in the flank section. Unfortunately, glands are one of the things that we really can't use, very bitter in taste. So something like this, you don't
nipples
want to have a gland in.
So the main part of the belly would be the bacon, and bacon really is just salt and thyme, and then maybe a little bit of smoke. Belly can be turned into many different kinds of bacon, from streaky bacon or slab bacon, Canadian bacon, rasher, jowl bacon, so many different kinds of things.
And these are the cuts that you can get off the belly.
Really? Commercial?
Eat this day of the perfect life.
It is surprising.
So next up, we have the loin section, which includes the tenderloin. There's lots of different cuts that we can get off the loin: bone in, bone out, roasts, steaks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove this section of the loin from the rest of the loin, which is basically cutting between the vertebrae and then removing all the muscle without having to saw through it. We'll later turn that into a boneless loin roast. So here what I've opted to do is cut a different style of pork chop with the chine bone attached. So I'm splitting between each vertebrae, sawing through a bit of the rib section, and then just following along the natural path of the rib. And so I'll remove a full pork chop with the chine on. And the other thing I like to do with these is leave all the fat on, as well as the skin. They have a few different muscles included in there that are going to change the texture, and that texture is going to change the flavor a little bit. So to counter that, nice and fatty with the skin on as well. For the remainder of the loin, what I'm going to do is chine. I'm lining my saw right at the base of the spine, and just a couple of quick bursts. And once I'm through that section, take the tip of my blade and I'll work around each little piece of the vertebrae. So here I'm just following down the feather bones that are on the back side of the spine, and we'll remove this section of the vertebrae. And again, I'll save this for stock of things like that. So here I'm just following the rib bone and cutting through the vertebrae and just cutting some bone-in pork chops. Here, the skin will be off, as well as the chine bone being off. So this is a part of the loin towards the rear of the animal, back towards an area where there are finger bones and not rib bones. So I removed the spine and finger bones, I've skinned it, and here I'm just removing excess fat. It's always a balance between too much fat, too little fat. Me personally, I love a ton of fat, but it's something that we slowly have to initiate customers into buying. And then here, I'm going to just score it again just for some presentation, and then I'll tie it. And that tying will keep it in a more uniform shape, and that will aid in a more even cooking. So the last part, we're going to tie something that's sort of traditional holiday roast, if you will. So we're going to tie what is essentially a pork standing rib roast. Skin off, leave a good amount of fat on, not too much, and expose or French the ribs. And really, this is all just presentation. Personally, I love to leave all that fat and meat on the bone, but for presentation's sake, it looks really nice. So to go ahead and French a bone, first you want to scrape between the bone and remove any of the intercostal meat. So that's the meat in between each bone. And then really, it just depends on how you feel like doing it. I kind of do a version where I scrape off as much meat and then I'll take a clean.
That's another way of Frenching the rack of lamb. Remove that meat from the middle, using your boning knife to scrape out the meat and the skin off the bones.
Rag and use that rag to pull off. Some people really want to see clean bones. I think I'd leave some meat on there just because I'm so anti-Frenching things. So here we're going to remove the skin. And again, we're left with some fat and some skin, all of which will be utilized. So the tenderloin is the most tender muscle in the body. What that equates to is a lack of flavor. So to help mitigate that, I leave a good amount of fat, or as much fat as I possibly can. But one of the things that we will have to remove is the silver skin. So that fascia isn't going to break down when you roast it normally. Here are the final cuts from the loin that you'll likely see at your butcher shop. So here we have the final traditional primal, the ham with the sirloin attached. So much like we did on the front arm, we're going to do on the rear. Removing the rear trotter is very similar to removing the front trotter. We're going to look for that joint. We're going to look for articulation in the tarsal bones, and we're going to cut around and then use the table to help us separate that from the hog. What we're going to do is we're going to debone around the sirloin. So first we'll remove part of the sacral vertebrae, and then we'll remove part of the hip that's still attached to the H-bone. And what that allows me to do is make sure I just remove the bone and not pull muscle with it. So it's a much cleaner way of removing those bones. So I'll cut between that cartilage, remove a bit of the hip, and then I'll work around the remaining section of the hip into the H-bone, around the femur, and then pull out that section. The H-bone is a fairly tricky bone to remove. There is a tendon that's attached to it. So it's one of the reasons why you don't dislocate your leg. The rear hock is a little bit different from the front arm in that the rear hock has a stifle joint. So it's almost a straight cut through that section. So we'll remove the tibia from the femur by locating an area just below the patella and the kneecap. And that area right below the patella allows us to sever that section very easily. So now we can remove the sirloin section. So we follow right on top of the tip of the femur. And as you can see, we get a much more full piece of sirloin. Great for cutting steaks or turning it into a roast as well. So here's the breakdown of the ham. Next, I'll cut them down even further into parts that you might see in your butcher case.
Come on, we're not done yet. Come on.
So here again, I'm just skinning and taking off some of that excess fat. We're going to cut some bone-out sirloin steaks. A lot of flavor. There's a lot of muscle groups in there, so that texture.
Wait till he gets to the head.
Flavor. I like them much better than a pork chop. So next up, we have the ham and the four primary muscles that are included in that: the top round, the sirloin tip, the eye round, and the bottom round. For our purposes, first we're going to skin it, leaving as much fat on as possible. You want to see the shadow of the blade underneath the skin. And that's how you know you're getting a really clean piece. So here we're following the natural seam, and I'm just scoring and following right around the femur. There's a very natural seam there that connects the top round to the bottom round. And we'll remove the top round along those lines. So here what we're doing is removing this top cap. This is the gracilis muscle. The cut that you'll see in butcher shops in the beef case, but you can totally use this in the pork case as well. It's very thin, it's quick cooking, and definitely just a great cut for a couple of portions. There's a good amount of fat on it, so we'll trim that off, as well as removing any of the silver skin or fascia. So with the remainder of the muscles on the leg, what I like to do here is just debone it. So I'm just following the bone. And then that femur bone is going into stock. So the remainder of the muscles, the bottom round, the eye round, and the sirloin tip, traditionally would either be left together for a ham, cut into cubes for stew, or going into sausage. But I figured the utility of this is that we can turn all of these into really great roasts. I'm going to pull off a little bit of that excess fat. I'm going to pull off the patella, the kneecap, which is still in the sirloin tip. And then I'm going to tie each of these into individual roasts. And what we'll wind up doing with the top round is taking that and cutting cutlets or Schweinsschnitzel. And then the remainder of the pieces that are left on the leg, I cut those up for stew. So when you're pounding the schnitzel, I use 2 pieces of saran wrap, and you want to make sure that you...
This is what you're going to do tomorrow for your veal, aka pork, on the Milanese, okay?
Don't hit directly straight down. You want to push away so as not to push through the muscle. These are the final cuts from the leg that you might find at your butcher's case. And then we have next, which I like to call the 5th prime. So first things I do is I remove the ears. You can.
I'm sorry, Miss Ellie, I know this you said this freaks you out, but this is can be utilized for porchetta de testa or what's the other one called? Head cheese. Delicious.
You can leave them attached, but traditionally what will happen is those will get sliced into strips. They'll get cured along with the head and the tongue, and those will get put into the skin and rolled up and cooked along with it. So I'll remove them.
If you're doing a porchetta de testa, leave the ears attached. So when you're tying it and sous vide in it, you fold the ears to cover its eyes. Little respect for the pig. Poor Wilbur.
So what we're going to do here is something that's very typical in charcuterie, which is removing the entire skin along with the muscle from the skull into something that's called porchetta de testa or fromage de tête. And here I just follow around the skull. I start at the top of the head and then working down along the sides of the skull. So I work in sections. I work one side, loosening it up, and then I'll flip over to the other side, joining them in the middle right around the forehead, and then peel down the snout of the animal. Just like organ meats that people have this sort of negative connotation with head, you know, it has a face. And so I can understand that it's really difficult for people to even think about consuming. But again, talking about pigs and their overall utility, it's just so great that you can take every single part of this animal and turn it into food. Even when you're done, the skull has a lot of meat left on it. So you can totally throw that into a pot and that can be your head cheese. And these are the cuts you get from the head.
From the skull, you put her into a stock pot, let it boil until the meat comes off of it, okay? And clean it as much as you take it out, strain it, take the skull up once it's cooked, and pull every piece of meat out of that skull. Okay, you take the stock, strain it, and slowly reduce it to about 1/4 of that amount. Okay, so when you make head cheese, you put all the meat in the mold and then put some of that chill reduction on top of it, and it congeals like gelatin. That's what we call head cheese. Well, they got some fresh herbs, some thyme, a little bit of salt. Man, head cheese is delicious. But the face here, you can either go that, make a head cheese, or you can take the face and then use some of the cuts on the other, the stew meat, grind them up, or chop them up, stuff the head with the eyeballs, the brains, everything else in the skull, and even the meat you pull out the skull. Tie it, like you tie the roulade, fold the ears on the eyes, cover the eyes, sous vide it for 24 hours, take it out the next day, let it rest, let it cool down, unwrap it, and then once it's congealed and rested, unwrap, take that and smoke it for 6 hours. Take it out and then let it rest and then slice it. Oh man, it's delicious. Delicious porchetta de testa.
Or Happy Halloween, wear it as a mask.
And finally, these are just some of the many cuts that you can get from the side of a pig.
I love how it's just playing creepy music with this.
It's on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know.
I don't do pig faces. Like the pig mask, I freak out with that.
So that's your pig fabricating. Like I said, when you guys, hopefully next year, when everything goes back to somewhat normal, farm to table class, you're going to get that whole entire side of pig, just like he did. You guys are going to break it down from the tutor to the tutor. Cut away the nipples, throw them out, save the sphincter, grill it, and slice it, and a little bit of salt, and then eat the sphincter muscle. Okay. So pig, right? So let's go take a look at what's happening on Thursday, okay? So pig, here we go, okay? So butchering process, okay? Now you saw the whole butchering process. So the next one we're gonna talk about is Kurabuta pork. The heritage breeds are specifically raised and hurled for their intensely flavorful meat and fat. In the realm of hot to Japanese proteins, all apologies to tofu, Wagyu beef, Jidori chicken. Again, Jidori is the only one you can eat sushi style, okay? Sushi style Jidori chickens, and Kurabuta pork reigns supreme. But you don't have to travel to the Far East to experience some of the best pork on menus today. Kurabuta or Black Hog pork comes from the famed Berkshire pig, okay? Yep, Berkshire and Kurabuta are the same thing. And this is one of the meats where it makes the real difference. Ever had a leathery, dry pork chop or tenderloin you simply did not have enough saliva to swallow? Conventional farm-raised pigs tend to lack the incredibly tasty fat that heritage breeds have maintained, and which keeps the meat juicy, tender, yes, expensive. But if you're a true fan of pork, heritage is worth every succulent bite, and it is. I've used it before, and it is. Okay. So the Berkshire breed. Pigs are a rare breed of pig originated from English county of Berkshire. Herds of the breed are still maintained in England, but the rare breed survival trust of Alderman County Park, Herefordshire, and by the Southern England Rare Breeds Center in Kent. Berkshire is listed as vulnerable as 2008. Fewer than 300 breeding sows were known to exist. Some pigs of the breed are also kept in New Zealand and Australia, but fewer than 100 purebred sows are there now. United States, the American Berkshire Association, established in 1875, gives pedigree only to pigs directly imported from established English herds or to those tracing directly back to such imported animals. The pig is also bred in Kagoshima Prefecture, Japan, under the trademark name Kagoshima Kurabuta. Kurabuta, beautiful, beautiful pig. The other ones are from Spain. Iberico and Serrano. If you guys love prosciutto ham, Serrano ham, once you have Serrano ham, you will never go back to prosciutto ham at all, okay? Once you go to Iberico ham, you'll never have Serrano again, okay? Iberico ham is delicious. You guys love prosciutto ham, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay. The Iberico ham are fed acorn and chestnuts before being slaughtered. That's the whole feed. Okay. The Serrano ham, I think they feed them Parmesan cheese. So it's different flavors. And again, Iberico Serrano, Central Market has them, Ms. Janet. They sell it for like about $7-9 an ounce or so. In little private kitchens, yeah.
Yeah.
And they are delicious. Like I said, if you like prosciutto ham or Parma, once you have Iberico Serrano, you'll never go back, because the Iberico, you can taste the air that is being aged in the mountains of Spain. It is so delicious, guys. So trust me, guys, you'll never go back. Okay.
It's expensive, so they don't have it all the time, but I've seen it a few times.
Yes. Yeah.
I like Serrano, but look, I'm gonna try that.
Serrano ham. Oh yeah, Serrano ham. So your menu for Thursday. Coat the pork. Okay. Again, use pork on Monday. Tuesday, you're going to use pork again on Thursday. Okay. But this one is over Japanese breadcrumbs. Same style, seasoned flour, egg wash, and breadcrumbs. Fold some Parmesan cheese into your breadcrumbs, and then pan fry it. But you got to tenderize it like you saw in the video, the guy with the saran wrap and the tenderizer. Parsnip puree. Okay. I didn't have any parsnip, so I'm going to see if I can jump to the store and see if I can find some. Okay. Sauce charcuterie, which you're going to use some of your demi-glace from Wednesday's menu for the rack of lamb, because you're not going to use all the demi-glace. You're going to make sauce charcuterie with that. Broccoli à l'anglaise, very simple and easy. Broccoli à l'anglaise, okay? Broccoli à l'anglaise, pretty much cut broccoli florets, blanched, and toss with a little bit of melted butter and salt. That's it, okay? That is it. So it's not that hard of a menu, guys. Really easy on Thursday, okay? Cook the pork, bread it, pan fried, parsley puree, almost like mashed potatoes, broccoli and glaze, steam, toss in the butter and salt, that's it, and then your sauce charcuterie. Easy menu Thursday, okay? Friday, I told you guys it was a short slide. Friday, you are doing beer marinated pork tenderloin. Yes, you're gonna marinate in beer, sear and roast it. Couscous salad, sauté zucchini, another easy day, okay? The top right picture is Israeli couscous. It looks like fish eyeballs, okay? The one on the bottom is a regular couscous, okay? Sauté zucchini, again, you decide how you're gonna cut your zucchini because you're gonna saute it, okay? But beer marinated pork loin, couscous is your starch, zucchini is your veggies. That's Friday, okay? That is Friday. Any thoughts on Friday's menu? Okay. Now let's take a look at the recipes. Okay. Where are we at? Here we go. Okay. Let's go back. So spatzel. Again, we just went over the spatzel. Remember, you need eggs, water, flour, and salt, nutmeg, and butter. Okay. Recipe correct. Again, you only serve in for one. That's what you make, all right? The escalope de veal is easy recipe, okay? Flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs, little Parmesan cheese, clarified butter to pan fry it, and then lemons and parsley for garnish. If you don't have no parsley, don't worry about it, okay? And again, this recipe makes 16 ounces, okay? So cut it. You're not gonna need 4 pounds of veal. Okay, we'll take a look at the shopping list in a minute. So veal or pork, flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs, Parmesan, butter, and lemons, okay? Easy does it on the veal. Brussels sprouts, okay? Recipe calls for Brussels sprouts, butter, salt, and pepper. That's it, easy, okay? You can blanch the Brussels sprouts. I will go ahead and blanch them just to be on the safe side. First cut off the bottom, this is a small piece so that you don't have any brownness on it. Remove the dead leaves and blanch them, take them out. You may cut them in half and then toss them in oil, salt, pepper, and roast them in the oven. That's it, simple and easy. But you do not need 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts, okay? Only in 1 serving, okay? What else? Sauce demi-glace, easy to make too, okay? Brown stock, and you're gonna reduce it. You can make Espanol sauce, but just reduce your brown stock. Take half of what you make and reduce it by a quarter. That's demi-glace, okay? That's on Tuesdays. Let's take a look at Wednesday, day 23. Come on. Day 23. Rack of lamb. Let's take a look at the recipe, okay? And again, this one serves, you don't need 4 rack of lambs. You got half a rack, that's fine. If you can't find rack, buy a pork tenderloin, okay? Because you can also clean it, slice, grill it, and slice it just like you saw the presentation. Dijon mustard, molasses, okay? So sear that rack of lamb, Dijon mustard, some molasses, okay? And the breadcrumbs, you're gonna mix them with hazelnuts. You don't have to use hazelnuts, you can leave them off, okay? Breadcrumbs with some fresh herbs, some little bit of Parmesan cheese, and then herbs, and then crust the lamb. Okay, molasses, mustard, and then breadcrumbs, and then make it in the oven, roast it in the oven. Sear first. Clean the rack of lamb, sear it. Molasses, mustard, breadcrumbs in the oven. Okay, that is it. That is it with the lamb. Okay. Risotto. You guys should know risotto. And again, here's the recipe. You guys made it before. We're not using 2 quarts of stock. I'm not using, what did I use? About 3 ounces of warrior rice last time. Says here is 1 cup. I only use half a cup of risotto, and that give me like enough for 3 servings. Okay. So cut the recipe to serve 1. Okay.
It was half a cup, chef, because
Yeah,
I have it down here.
So half a cup. Okay. You know the technique. You know the ingredients. You know how to make it. Okay. So half a cup of risotto, and then adjust the recipe ingredients as they go. Okay. What else? Demi-glace, easy. Again, demi-glace and recipes there. But once you reduce the demi-glace, okay, just add some shallots, a little bit of red wine, and reduce it, and then add your demi-glace. Or leave the rosemary out. I'm going to see if I can buy some mint jelly to go with it. So that's your recipe. And don't use half a gallon. You don't need all the demi-glace. I'm only using like 1 cup of stock to make demi-glace. Okay. So Wednesday's menus. Salad, you know the ingredients. You got roasted rack of lamb, apricot panache, haricot panache. Let's take a look at the recipe for haricot panache. Easy does it. Okay. You don't need 2 pounds of green beans. I'm only using about 3 ounces of green beans, 3-4 ounces. The white beans, I'm only using about the same. I'm going to soak them in water overnight, cook them off, a little bit of butter and salt, and maybe some chicken stock. That is it. Okay. Easy does it. Blanch your green beans. Clip them, blanch them, saute them, a little bit of butter and salt. Cook your navy beans, take them out, and then toss them in that same pan where you just saute your green beans, give them a little bit of flavor. Okay.
You think 1 cup would be good, chef? Both beans?
1 cup is going to multiply times 3. So you do 1 cup of raw beans, they're going to be times 3 cups of beans when you cook.
Yeah, so be half a cup better.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Easy recipe. Let's take a look at day 24, which is Thursday. Day 24, where are you at? 24. Here we go. You got Côte de porc. Let's take a look at the recipe. Okay. Same thing as Tuesday's menu. Flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs. Same style. Golden brown, pan fried. Okay. Parsnip puree. I don't have any parsnip. I must jump to the source if I can buy some. You don't need 2 pounds of parsnips. Parsnips, potatoes, heavy cream, whole butter, and salt, pepper. Just like if we're doing mashed potatoes fused with parsnip puree. That's it. Don't make them too loose. Make them a little bit dry and firm so you can be able to pipe them and play with them. Maybe make some more quenelles like you guys made last week. Okay. Parsnip, potatoes, heavy cream, butter. Okay. Let's take a look at sauce charcuterie. You need that demi-glace again, okay? Shallots, white wine, demi-glace with addition of honey, Dijon mustard, and cornichon, little pickles, little gherkins, okay? Once the you have reduced the shallots, the white wine with the honey, mustard, and cornichons, you add demi-glace, bring it to a simmer point, it's done. Sauce charcuterie. Needs to be chunky monkey, okay? Let's take a look at broccoli anglaise. Plain and simple, guys. Steamed broccoli, butter and salt, anglaise. Easy does it, okay? Let's go back, take a look at day 25, okay? Day 25, Friday. Another easy day. Beer marinated pork tenderloin. If you're not of age 21, Topo Chico, sparkling water will do fine, or ginger beer, non-alcoholic will work well too. Pork tenderloin, 1 pork tenderloin is sufficient. Light soy sauce. If you don't have light soy sauce, use regular soy sauce. Beer, ginger beer will work fine if it's non-alcoholic. Light brown sugar, fresh ginger. It's all you need for the marinade. Marinate your pork overnight, Thursday for Friday. Friday, take it out, sear it, put it in a pan, put the marinade on top just like you did bourbon chicken, and place it in the oven and roast it, okay? Soy sauce, beer, sugar, ginger. If you're not of age, ginger beer will work fine. It's non-alcoholic, okay? Again, marinate the pork Thursday for Friday. Friday, take it out, put it in a roasting pan, no searing. Pour the marinade on top and roast it, okay? Nice and moist. Let's take a look at couscous salad, okay? Just let me Janice say, you don't have to use bell peppers, okay? Here's the couscous salad ingredients. You're gonna cook it in chicken stock. If you don't have chicken stock, you use water, Again, the ingredients is up to you. You want to use red bell peppers, green bell peppers, green onions, cucumbers, black olives, red onions, whatever you want to use in your couscous. I'm going to use green onions, cucumbers, olives, red onions, a little bit of lemon juice, and olive oil and salt. That's what I'm going to use on mine. I might throw in some dried fruit just because it is pork. You want to have something sweet with it, maybe some cranberries, cherries, apricots, something like that. Okay. And you're going to make a vinaigrette to top up. Since I'm using lemon juice and oil, olive oil, I'm not going to use vinaigrette because that's already my vinaigrette. Okay. So again, the ingredients is to your discretion. What I would do ask is brunoise your veggies. Okay, brunoise your veggies, either the same size as a couscous or smaller. So very, very small brunoise. This is your knife cuts. Do account for the texture on your couscous salad, all right? Very small dice of brunoise veggies. Your discretion, you want to use all of them, or you want to use part of it, you want to use different kinds of ingredients. Like I said, I'm going to try to use the dried fruit to make it a little bit sweeter for that pork, okay? I'm not going to worry about the vinaigrette. I'm already tossing everything else in olive oil and lemon juice, and that is it, okay? And saute zucchini, butter, and salt. Easy does it, or in this case, olive oil. I like to use butter on mine, yeah. Those are your recipe ingredients for the week. Let's take a look at your shopping list. See what's on the shopping list that is not on the list, or maybe you can substitute for it. Week 5 shopping list. Here you go. So pork loin, okay, for the pork cutlet. Lamb rack, half of one. If you can find rack, use pork tenderloin, okay. So pork loin and pork cutlets are the same thing, so you can buy either one and just split them into 2, okay? I don't know why they have pork loin in here. So I would just use pork cutlets, lamb, for the veal instead of the veal, my bad. I get it. So pork loin is for Thursday, lamb racks Wednesday, pork cutlets it's for Thursday, and then pork tenderloin is for Friday, that's why. But you can use pork loin for both Tuesday and Thursday, okay? Dairy, now you know you got eggs, Parmesan and butter, okay? Lemons, parsley, if you can find parsley, more power to you. If you're not, don't worry about it. Brussels sprouts, yes. Fresh thyme, green beans, shallots, broccoli. The red, green bell pepper, it's up to you guys. Green onions, yes, for your couscous salad, cucumber, couscous salad. Red onion, garlic, oregano, zucchini. I wouldn't worry about the oregano. If you can find it, it's fine. If not, leave it out, okay? Dry ingredients, all-purpose flour, breadcrumbs, Japanese breadcrumbs. Salt, you should have salt from last week. Possibly have nutmeg. Tomato paste for your Espanol sauce. If you want to make Espanol sauce, I'm not going to make Espanol sauce. I'm not going to worry about tomato paste. I'm just going to reduce what I have, make it into demi-glace. Bay leaf, not really necessary. Dijon mustard, yes. Black peppercorns, not really needed. White beans, yes. Molasses, yes. Hazelnuts, no. White wine, I'd like to go with red wine instead. Honey, yes. Dill pickles, yes. Couscous and olives. So that's your shopping list, guys, okay? The menu says veal on Tuesday, but
Excuse me, Chef, it's better red wine?
I like to use red wine instead.
Okay.
No, because you know you're doing a dark sauce. I'm not doing a white sauce, so red wine is better.
Right, because right, okay, because of the stock.
Yes.
Jeffrey, did all the questions be asked or answered?
I had a question, Chef.
Go ahead.
The white beans, you want the fresh or canned?
Dried.
Dry, okay.
Yes. So Jeffrey, do you have any questions with the answer?
Chef, I'm clear on everything right now, so
okay.
Thank you for going over that.
Okay. Anyone else? Are you guys clear on the recipe ingredients? Are you guys clear on the recipe methods? Are you guys clear on the shopping list?
I just want to touch bases on the proteins again. You say we can substitute for pork if we can't find lamb, right?
Pork tenderloin, yes. So usually you buy when you buy pork tenderloin, there's cryo bag. You get 2 pieces per package. If you only get 1 piece, one half for the lamb and the other half for Friday. Okay, you're only doing 1 serving.
Thanks, Chef. Oh, actually, one more question.
Sure.
You know, with the barbecue basting brushes, I wanted to know how long can you use those, or I mean, yeah, how long can you use them, and do you use them for just one thing, or can you use them for multiple things after you sanitize and wash them?
Only for barbecue because the brush is going to be well seasoned, so I will only use it for barbecue for basting.
Let me tell you something a little bit that I've known in the pastry. You know, you've got a kit that you get from school. Do you carry that around? I like to have pastry brushes, one for butter, one for egg, and all I need to do is write on the pastry brush what it is. So every time you use it, you're not cross-contaminating different things. So I try to use one for egg, one for butter, one for brushing off the flour when I'm doing puff pastry. Have multi, put names on it, and that way you have it all lined up for that specific thing. And then you can buy the pastry brushes. They're $1 at the dollar store, or get some of the small ones instead of the big ones. Okay? It really helps with cross-contamination. You don't, because if you put that pastry brush back in your kit and it's got egg in it and it's not dry, that whole kit's gonna stick. And you don't want that, okay?
Copy that. Thank you, chefs.
We use more pastry brushes and pastry than you all guys do.
I know, that's true. But going to culinary arts, they're going to use a lot of more pastry brushes too.
Yeah.
So are we on the same page, guys, as far as this week's menu production? The only day that it's going to be a little bit loaded is when you have the mixed green salad, which is, I think, on Tuesday, right? No, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday. But again, you can do some of these items ahead of time, okay? The rest of the week, they are not that hard, okay, guys? So Tuesday, we have veal, AKA pork, if you can find veal. Wednesday, we got rack of lamb. If you don't have the lamb, you can use some pork tenderloin instead to mimic the loin of the rack. Thursday, you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, you have pork cutlet. And then Friday, you got pork tenderloin marinated with beer. Ginger beer will work as well, too. It's non-alcoholic. If you're not of age of 21, you can buy that, and that'll work as well for your beer marinated pork tenderloin, okay? You saw the recipes. You saw the ingredient, the shopping list. The shopping list with the peppers and all that for your couscous salad is up to you. You can do different things. Like I said, I'm trying to use a sweet dried fruit for my couscous salad, so I gotta go back to the store and buy some of that. Okay. The spatula, the technique, the spatula, even you saw the cheese grater. Okay, how do you make the spatula? The batter is thicker than pancake batter. If it doesn't go through the spatula maker, then it's too. If it goes through real quick, it's too thin. More flour. If it's too thick, it doesn't go through. Then it's perfect. You boil it, take it out, shock it in nice water, pat it dry, saute it in brown butter. That is spatula. Okay. When you saute it, don't saute a whole bunch at the same time. Do it in portions, because if you're going to put a lot of spatula in the pan, it's going to lower your heat. It's going to turn like mush or poached. You want it to have a nice golden brown crust like risotto. Risotto, you know the technique. You know what we're looking for. You know the sucre part of the bottom. We made it already once. Salad, you made it. You know what is expected. Do a different presentation. Play with the idea. Knife cuts are very important with the salad. What else? Demi-glace, you stick whatever you have and reduce it by half or at least 3/4 of it. And that should be demi-glace for the next coming days. That's what we made stock at the beginning and saved it so you can use it for this week. Okay. Any questions about this week? You guys know where you stand with your final, not final grade, your overall grade, right? You guys know where you
look at it
with your overall grade, right? Okay. You guys know where you stand with the knowledge conversion quizzes, right? And you guys understand that this is the last week of any makeup work that can be submitted, right? Week 6, SOL. Sorry, out of luck about any makeup work submitted. So this is your week to catch up on it, okay, guys? So week 5, knowledge conversion quizzes. You know who you are. You know who, how many you're missing. Week 5 is your last week to do any makeup work. What else?
I got a couple of questions, Chippy.
Sure.
I have 2 people that came on, and I've been scouring and all this stuff. I want to know when Brandon Collins, could you tell me an estimated time that you came back to class, sir? Brandon, let me see you. I guess not.
So Brandon Collins and who else?
Okay, no Brandon Collins. I took care of that one.
They leave or he said?
And Robert Dolajal, could you please tell me what time you came on?
I was in class by 11:30 something. I forgot exactly the time, but I was on my phone and then I joined the class on my computer when I got back home.
Okay, 11:30.
Yeah, around there.
So
Right,
Mr.
thank you, sir.
Robert, I'm going to shoot you by private chat where you stand on your final grade, okay?
Yes, Chef. Thank you, Chef.
And Robert, make sure you do your quizzes. You weren't there the other day when we were talking about them, but you better get the quizzes done today.
Yes, Chef.
I'd appreciate it.
You know how many you're missing? Suggest taking them before today if possible. Don't wait until Friday because they may close, and they close. You're probably going to be SOL if you don't take them, okay?
Yes, Chef. Thank you, Chef.
Let me see if I can find your name.
So Brandon Collins, I don't have you at all. So you're going to just be out for the whole day. I'm sorry.
Did you get me, ma'am?
Who is that?
Yeah,
I got your email.
Let me see where's Robert. Anyway, any of you guys have any questions about today, about this week, about where you stand with your grades, about what's going on? Quizzes, shopping list, techniques, spatzel, risotto, pork, veal.
Actually, a question. Could you use a what is it? A colander for a spatzel?
If the holes are really tiny, probably you're gonna have a hard time making the spatzel, man. They're gonna come up like little, I don't know. Okay. So
all right,
you can try, but you're gonna have such a challenge, man, making the spatzel. Okay.
Copy that.
Chef, I had a question as well.
Sure.
What am I supposed to beat the pork with? Because I don't have a mallet.
If you don't have a mallet, you got a rolling pin. You got a bottle. You got a saute pan. You got a little stock pot. Okay.
Just if you use a bottle, don't slam it.
Don't slam it.
Okay.
As long as you got something flat, or the bottle just kind of like gently, okay? Because it's already dead. You're not killing it.
I've learned if you use a wine bottle, it works the same.
Okay.
Be very gentle with it at the same
I have a
time
wine
because
bottle.
it will shatter.
Okay. Can I use this for the
Yeah, I have one the same. You can use the one the bigger holes, yeah.
In this one or the small one?
No, the
This
big one. The big one.
Okay.
See, if you don't have a spatula, you can use one of those cheese graters, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions? Any comments?
Do you think the school can reimburse me for like the extra $30 or so I'm about to spend?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because I don't have the funds for this, but I'm doing it anyway, so I don't fail.
Well, the stipend that you get next week, hopefully you have most of the ingredients in your house. Because for next week,
for next week, yeah. We're doing just like the rice pilaf, the fabricated chicken, potatoes, which I have enough of those and whatnot.
Right. So take a look at your pantry, take a look at your freezer, see what you have. So when you get your stipend next week, don't buy those ingredients.
What I need to buy is this. If the stipend comes in tomorrow, what I need to buy, we're using tomorrow. and I can't drive 40 minutes to go get everything before class because traffic is bad in Dallas.
Tomorrow is Spatzel. If you don't have veal, use your pork. Okay. If you already have pork, use pork. Brussels sprouts, and what's the other thing?
I got Brussels sprouts. The only thing I don't have is the veal, beer, carrot, celery, lettuce, and parsnips.
Okay. So again, if you don't have veal, go with the pork that you already have. Just buy the later on when you get the second stipend.
Okay.
All right. So try not to break the bank and try to be a little bit of more how you can improvise. And you know, if you, like I said, for next week, take a look and see what you have, so you don't have to buy that amount again. Okay?
That's what I did with this list, and that's when adding the other stuff, because I can't go to the store on the weekdays since it's 40 minutes away.
Right, it's too far, yeah.
Because I have work after class, and I don't get out till like midnight, and they're closed by that time.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why I'm just like, I gotta do it on Sundays.
So that's what we have this week, guys. Any comments, questions, issues, concerns? If not, what is tomorrow? Okay. There's not really much you can prep ahead of time for tomorrow, but do take the time to fill out the knowledge quizzes, and you know, have those done, guys. And you know, again, any makeup work that needs to be submitted, please submit it this week. Please submit it this week. Next week is too late in the game, guys. Okay. If not, then I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same